This presentation is made possible by these amazing individuals and organizations. Whether it was through Patreon, Super Chats, Super Stickers, or by watching, liking, and commenting, I really appreciate each and every one of you. Hello, guys. Welcome to the show. Welcome. I am Retro Nerd Girl, and I'm broadcasting live from the International Science Fiction Space Station. And I welcome you to the discussion that we're having today, and that is remembering canon films. I don't know about you guys, but I'm really excited for this because I remember as a little girl watching these incredible films on my TV set and just like, what is this that I'm watching? Usually action films, some exploitative material and content, and just a lot of fun. Just a lot of fun. Of course, the ones that I was watching were edited for television, but it still had a lot of energy. And being a kid watching this stuff was just like it was like candy. It really was. And so I will never forget, these incredible films, and I just love what they were able to do with their little small idea of creating these kinds of films. So, without further ado, I am going to get into the discussion with you guys. But before that, I wanted to just take care of a little business and put a little ticker at the bottom to let people know what we're talking about during the discussion. I finally remembered, guys, to put the ticker on the bottom. And I think this is it. Let me just see. Sound looks great. Let me know that the sound is working well and you're able to hear me. That's another thing I need to check at the beginning. I think I'm getting the hang of this, guys. I think I am. Let me see. Let me see if I haven't heard that there's any problem, so I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me and it looks great from my end. So let me see what's going on in the chat. I'm loving the chat so far, seeing a lot of you in here. We got Outcast Creative. Who was going to be coming on the show, and I'm not sure exactly when. I guess he said that in about an hour he was going to try to join us. I actually didn't expect him. I thought initially he said that he wasn't going to be able to come, but he said that he make something, make some time for us because he's a very, very busy man. And we do definitely want to respect his time. But the reason why he would be invited to this show is because he used to work for Canon Films. So we want to get an in-depth look at the inside, what was going on the inside of this company, because what I've been reading so far and watching from different interviews have been very exciting and interesting. But it's nice to hear things from a person's point of view who was actually working there. So, yeah, I can't wait till he comes on the show and shares his point of view. I hope he can make the other three installments of this that I have planned. So, let's see. Brogu is here. Hi, Brogu. How are you? Says, hello, RNG. I recently saw your first live stream. It was great seeing all the love that you received from everyone. Wasn't it wonderful? I look back on that day and it's just makes me smile so much and make me feel very loved, definitely. And go on to say that I'm sad that I didn't know you back then to show you some support and love. And does the hashtag SillNation? Oh, wow. I didn't know that you were a part of SillNation, Brogo. That is really cool. Yeah, Sill, I started watching Sil Abdul's channel, like, I would say it's probably going on 2 years maybe, or at least a year and a half, and, he was actually the first person to invite me on their, live stream, and, I was like, "Okay," and I had such a good time. I mean, obviously, it can't stop me now from being on a live stream at least once or twice a week. So yeah, he started the bug, but I had always wanted to do live streams, but I do believe in some of the stuff that he's doing over there, and I'm definitely in the Sill Nation. I guess you can call me one of the Sill Nation people. And Hungry Jerk is here. Says I'll tune in too. Oh, cool! Great to have you, Hungry Jerk. And Keith E says is saying hi to everyone. How are you, Keith E? How are you doing? How's the hippo today? And Unicorn Rampant Studio is here and says, "Hi, kids. I'm in a pile of pups listening in. Hope it's been a safe week." So there we have a unicorn with three puppies. Oh, you have three of them today? Oh my goodness. Well, we love puppies around here. So, oh, they're so cute. They're so adorable. I wish I could have a puppy, but I will live vicariously through you. uh, and Unicorn Rampant Studios says, I have a French bulldog visiting who looks like a baby hippo. Oh, how cute. Oh my goodness. Pictures. I need pictures of these things. And Keith E says, what's its name? Yeah, I'm curious. And this is me telling everyone I'm incoming. Coming in. Coming in hot. And Unicorn is excited about this. And DeLorean DMC is here. Wow. Hey. Says it just saw this. I watched American Ninja for the first time a month ago. It's been a while since I've seen that film, and yeah, wow, the thing I do love about those movies is just how they don't care. They went for it. They went for it. They shot for the moon, you know what I mean? They shot for the moon. They were making films that had sort of a different kind of heart to it, that hits you in a different way. I mean, if you're, a drama lover, I mean, you could love, drama and love this too at the same time. But I just think like there are some people who are just not willing to give canon films any credit at all. And I don't think that these movies are trash. I think they're really great. I think they're very imaginative and the fun, the entertainment. They're doing their job. They were supposed to entertain people, and that's what they did. They entertained. And entertainment, comes in many forms. We've got Bonzo Kilborn in the house says back to the 80s, back to glory, the days of glory. Ah, man. And Hungry Jug says, just got back. Hi, guys. Oh, good to have you back. And John Walker is here and says, hello, RNG, and everyone in the chat. Hello, John Walker. So good to see you. And Unicorn. Says Unicorn Rampant Studio says the first live stream was epic. Glad you took time, Grogu. Yes, Grogu, and yes, it was epic. And yes, thank you for saying that, Unicorn. It was one of the most incredible moments for me. It was like my birthday. It's like Christmas, all wrapped into one. And yeah, it was. I was just going for it. It was great. um, and Bonzo Kilborn says that American Ninja as good as it gets. Yeah, it's really good. You know. And Unicorn Rampant Studio says, "Hey, chat joiners and returnees. Yes, so good to see all of you guys here, and leaving so many nice comments." Keith, he says, "We can hear you. We can hear you. Thanks for the live update." Yes, I want to make sure that I get that you guys can hear me and everything. And Hungry Jerk says, "I love dogs." Unicorn Rampant Studio. I made my sister's lab watch Old Yeller with me once. Oh, how cute! Oh, again, we need pictures of this. This is like the cutest thing. When, by the way, what did your sister's dog think of Old Yeller? Was he or she into it? And Jack is here. Hello, Jack. How are you? It says hello from Texas. Another day of 100 degrees, but the coronas are iced down, and I'm ready to take on Canon films. For your take on Canon films, a lot of VHS memories. Yes. Oh gosh, yes. VHS was the mode of watching these films, and um, a lot of them went straight to video. They did not have a theatrical release for a lot of them. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And I
I don't think people minded it so much. It was almost like if you wanna compare it to the modern day, it's almost like how streaming movies are direct to streaming, you get them immediately and you can enjoy them in your own home. And they don't get the fanfare like, a Barbie or an Oppenheimer. They just go straight into, like, into your hands, and so, it's very interesting, but that's how Canon Films really made all of its money was, I don't wanna say all of its money, but a lot of its money was on video sales. I mean, they just raked it in because people are like, "What are we gonna do this Saturday night?" No internet, right? We didn't have internet back there, so having doing something on the weekends was very important to fill up that time period, or you just go straight stir crazy or get into idle hands, you get into some trouble. So why not enjoy your weekend with a nice, grouping of Canon films? And, even better if they were movies that you liked and enjoyed and wanted to rewatch. Hungry Jerk says, "I'm glad you're doing live streams, aren't you? Dave Sundstrom hasn't done one in a month." Oh, yeah, that's right. Um, hmm. Okay. I hope he's okay. I mean, he's probably taking a break or something, right? Um, but yeah, he'll once he starts up again, sure he's gonna knock it out the ballpark. He does such great content. I love his channel so much, and he's such a nice guy. Just a wonderful human being. And Unicorn Rampant Studio says the Frenchie's name is Olive. Oh my goodness. Also a wire-haired terrier named Lucky. And my collie mix, Camille. Oh, Camille. So sweet. I did see a picture of Camille and she's just adorable, guys. Just adorable. And Brogu says in 1984, I saw a Canon movie named Bolero. Oh, with I know the one that you're talking about. I was just a teen, so to this day I can't look at people in the eye. I to this day I can't look people in the eye. I'm ashamed of my past, and I ask for for forgiveness. Please don't judge me, RNG. I didn't know. Absolutely, no judgments here. Look, I am, I'm pretty cool, Valeria was good. I forgot. I'm seeing the picture of the of Raquel Welch. She starred in that. Yes, right. She starred in that. And yeah, one thing I loved about Canon Films is, like I said, they were of an exploitative nature, and they really went for it. They really went for the wildest fantasies. And John Jake says, I think he liked it. Yes. And Hungry Jake also says, love renting movies on a rainy weekend back in the day. Oh, wasn't that nice? Like just like it's a rainy weekend. You get your snacks, right? You do that run. You go get your snacks. You get a movie, and what nice days, nice days. I remember. Uh, well, now that we're done with the greetings and everything, and I've checked in on you guys, I've got a presentation, obviously. um, let's see if I can add this to the stream really quickly. There we go. Um, all right, so Canon Films. I'm just going to go down just the general information about Canon Films. And I really would love if anybody had any stories of any deeper stories, but I know that there is a movie that I was trying to see if I could get my hands on that went through the entire history of Canon Films. It definitely like I wanted something about the start of it. What I was able to gather together between Wikipedia and other sources. I know that Wikipedia is not the greatest source for all content and stuff, but it's what we've got, right? It's like the modern day encyclopedia, and there really isn't a whole lot of other better places and sources to get this stuff from other than interviews and actually like um, getting written material from the people who were involved. So what I was able to get from Wikipedia is this. Canon Group Incorporated, an American group of companies, including Canon Films, which produced films from 1967 to 1994. Um, and yeah, about 1994, they got into some trouble and had eventually filed for bankruptcy. And then they did recorporate, but it just never was the same. Never was the same after that. Um, and I think at this point, it's like there may be some. I didn't check yet, but there may be a company that's working with those films and definitely like trying to preserve them, which I think that they are, again, what I pretty much always have said. These are time capsules. They are human history. We need to preserve movies, no matter what you think the quality is of a movie. I think they're very important for um, to record um, the way humans have been reacting and enjoying content, entertainment. That these things are a reflection of society at the moment it was created, and I believe that these belong in a museum, belong in a museum because they are they're so important to our culture and our history. So I do I know there's some like highbrows, people can be like, "Oh, Canon Group, they made a lot of, crappy films." Absolutely don't think so. If you got some enjoyment out of that's not crap. That's good stuff. That's good stuff, okay? It's just I think it's very important for us to really protect those films and make sure that they are treated with respect. And, the actors too, I hope, hope that people have been giving, the actors that were involved their due because they really did a lot of them really did, do their very best in these films. Now the group was also owned by a large, international cinema chain, the group also owned a large international cinema chain and invested heavily in the video market. Yep, that's where a lot of the money came from, buying the international video rights to several classic film libraries. Now, that was one of the smartest moves that they made because by buying these films, they really, was able to make a lot of money in video and distribution. And that was very important in the early 80s or the 80s in particular. So they became a viable source of video content, which was growing in the 80s. Um, and some of their best known films include Joe, 1970, Runaway Train, 1985, and Street Smart, 1987, which were all Oscar nominated films, which is, that's the highest honor that you can have in Hollywood or in filmmaking is to be nominated for an Oscar. So they breached the barrier for a lot of their films. They did break the B movie trope and actually got to like have a few films that were highly regarded. And the thing about them was that they used a lot of really good actors. A lot of good actors worked with them, and that's really incredible. Let's see what Joe K says. Joe K, good to see you. Canon Films were dominating the video clubs in the 80s. By the way, video club was the term in Greece for video rental shops. During the 80s, every street had one. Yep. And it was like that in my town in New York. There was always a little video shop you could rent videos from or buy. And it was really great. Those there was really great memories of browsing to see what videos you're gonna get for the weekend, or for a holiday weekend. And let's see. Um, and Canon Films was incorporated on October 23rd, 1967. It was formed by Dennis Freeland and Chris Dewey while they were in their early 20s. They had immediate success producing English language versions of Swedish soft, what films directed by Joseph S. Sarno. Inga, 1968, aka Jag in I don't know how to say that. I don't know how to pronounce that. And My Love, Lisa, 1968, and so they got these films and was able to get them. Uh, they were able to get these films um, and get some success with them. And by 1970, they had produced films on a larger production scale than a lot of major distributors, such as Joe, starring Peter Boyle. They managed this by tightly limiting their budgets to $300,000 per picture. That's very important. If you have that limitation on how much you're going to spend on a movie, and so they had that limitation, $300,000 per picture or less in some cases. The success of Joe brought more attention to the company. However, as the 1970s moved on, a string of unsuccessful films seriously drained Cannon's capital. This, along with changes to the film production tax laws, led to a drop in Cannon's stock price, which is deadly for a company like this. And so they were really headed for the dumpster at that point. Um, and then we we come to the heyday of Canon, uh, which is 1979. It's not the heyday, but this is when the owners changed hand. Canon hit serious financial difficulties and sold Canon to Israeli cousins Menahem Golan and Yoram Globus for $500,000. Imagine that. They sold it for so cheap. Um, and it's really kind of incredible. But I suppose that money, goes a long way back in 1979. And so at least a cool million would have been the thing, right? But they really got a steal. But what they were able to do with this company was really incredible because they kind of took the same idea, but they also, twisted it kind of a little bit. Um, this is a picture of the two of them. Isn't that a baller? They're like ballers there. Let me see what you guys are saying here. We go. Cannon's Bloodsport was great, wasn't it? And John Marcus says Bloodsport is awesome. It's been a while since I've seen Bloodsport, but yeah, it was uh, one of Jean-Claude Damme's greatest glories. And Hungry Jerk says there were movies you rented to watch with the guys and movies you watched with someone special. Yeah, they call it Netflix and chill. And Brogu says Sylvester Stallone's Cobra movie was a canon film. Yes, it was, and I do love that film. Um, and Jack says mom and pop video stores were the norm before Blockbuster killed them. Blockbuster's demise was a source of revenge humor. Oh, really? Yeah, I guess so. And I actually want to do something on Blockbuster. Um, Let me write that down because um, Because Blockbuster, it really, like, took over the market, didn't they? They just really, barged their way in, and every single shop, they did have sort of a color code too, so it was sort of like the McDonald's of video rentals until, Netflix came along and uh, kicked them out of the running, but they had become really like a staple. They had become a staple in a lot of homes. Like you knew what to expect, and it became something that people had a fondness for. And Virgo says Jean Claude starred again in Cyborg. Yes, another one of my favorites. Um, and Joe K said Bloodsport had a great soundtrack. Oh, I don't remember the soundtrack. I gotta go back and watch that again. And, uh, just going a little further along here, their budget success were their exploitation action B movies in the 1980s, in spite of negative reviews. So, like, they didn't care about trying to appease Siskel and Ebert and all those people, they were doing their own thing. They were doing their own thing, and all that really mattered was, like, what were people actually spending money on? And they were spending money on these action films that, they could take home in a weekend and enjoy, like cars blowing up and ballistics and, Chuck Connors and, Michael Dudikoff. These guys, just should have, being, um, front and center, and really was, i about a lot of it had to do with this machismo, but it sold, and people bought, so that's how you get into business, and that's how you stay in business is you find out what people want and you give them that thing over and over and over again. Um, and they tried. I really think that they really tried to deliver that for as long as they could. In one case, after buying the rights to the 1974 film Death Wish, Cannon produced three sequels to it in the 1980s, starring Charles Bronson. And this was great. They got the star back. That was the main thing that they really needed for those Death Wish movies, because it's the brand, right? We understand Death Wish, Charles Bronson. So they got that. That was the key component, and then they made all of these, like, crazy films. I mean, some of the scenes in that those, sequels are just out of control, insane, but they were fun to watch. They were fun. Like I said, they were, entertaining, and that was their job, and they did it. These films were financially successful, especially Death Wish 2, 1982, which earned over 40 million on an $8 million budget. So they were able to flip that house, if you will. They spent $800, $8 million on the budget, and probably some of that, a big chunk of that went to Charles himself to keep him, on board. And then, that cool 40 million, not bad, not bad. Um, that'll might be, buy you a trip to a fancy location or two. And these are just a couple of the films um, that really, when you think of canon films, they just sort of, um, American Ninja, they just sort of, have so much fun. Look at the posters as well. I mean, they didn't that was one of the things you could say about their company is that they spent a lot of time or a lot of money even on making sure that the posters were exciting. We were talking about this last week, wasn't it? not this week, but last week, of how the poster gets you through the door. That's like that's the thing that gets you to buy the product, that gets you to spend $20 on a ticket, or gets you to spend $3 on renting a movie, right? You need a great poster, and these posters are out of control amazing. Look at this. Like, these are great posters. They're insanely good posters. They didn't skimp on that. And sometimes they would make a poster before they even had the actual movie together, in order to sell it to investors, which is a great idea. Put the poster together, and then come up with the details. So they were pretty awesome. I thought they did a great job, for a B movie company, especially. Just some of the wonderful things that they were able to do. Again, these are sales pitches. That's what a poster is, right? It's to get people to come to see your movie. This Alan Quartermain poster is incredible. No, let's see what you guys are saying. I'm just going at it here. John Walker says, Joe, yeah, yeah, the Stan Bush song "Fight to Survive" is a classic. And Jack says, Jean Claude, gosh darn, he was a contract actor for Canon. It was in so many. Yeah, he was. And there's such a great story to the way Jean Claude Van Damme got started. He basically hung out in the lobby of the offices and begged his way into that studio. I mean, he deserves a lot of credit for really pushing the idea, and pushing to get himself famous, and using this particular company. He saw that they were using stunt people. He saw that they were using people who were action driven, and he had the talent. So he just wore them down basically. And Hungry Jack says, "I saw the exhibition of Jean Claude taking on six guys at once. He's amazing." He was amazing. Yes, he was incredible. At the peak of his fitness, as well. Oh, Mikey Sutton is here. Hi, Mikey Sutton. There's a great doc on Canon. Just saw it on Netflix before. Okay, so I need to go on Netflix and see that documentary. Is that the Electric Boogaloo one? Because as I was trying to get my hands on a good documentary. There's a couple of people on YouTube that have done some really great documentaries. And there is one guy in particular who did like two books that they're like in um he somehow has a lot of the backlog of their old projects and things. And I was trying to get in contact with that guy because he's really fascinating, the stories he has to tell about Canon films. It just goes on and on, but yeah. Joe Case is my father. Oh, by the way, I'm gonna see if I can look at for that Netflix. Thanks for the heads up, Mikey. Thank you. And by the way, everybody, if you haven't seen this, yesterday I did a wonderful stream on Necron's channel with Mikey Sutton, where we talked about Sam Raimi, and really went into all of his films in quite a great detail. So if you guys can head over to El Necron's channel and check out that. It's a show called Pandora's Box that we're doing together. And Joe K says, my father brought home a Panasonic VCR in 1983, the one that opened from the top. Oh, it was the first VCR in the neighborhood, and all the kids were coming over to my house to watch it. To watch it played until 2006. Oh, wow. Yeah, I haven't seen a VCR in years, and I still have some VCR tapes that I just can't seem to get rid of. And I'm like, well, maybe one day I'll be able to play them again, but maybe one I'll offer that to my members, like just to kind of do a video for my members and go through all my VCR tapes. And, Mikey Sutton says, Missing in Action." Yes, that was, those movies were insane, just insane, but it really, really good. I mean, it was like Missing in Action and Rambo, and I think they did do quite a few Rambo movies, at least one in particular I know. Hungry Jerk says Charles Bronson, The Great Escape. Yeah. And Brogu says, I'm sure Outcast Creative will talk about it, but Chuck Norris starred in canon movies such as all the Delta Force movies, as well as Invasion USA and Hitman. Yep, he really had a strong contract with this company, and they even produced, or was had a hand in, his Texas Walker series, that he had on TV. So it was really, a really, amicable relationship for a long time. And Maggie Sutton says Runaway Train was critically acclaimed too. Yeah, that one, yeah, they were not Emmy nominated, but Oscar nominated, with Eric Roberts and um, Voight. Voight was in that, so it was a great, great movie. Highlander was a canon film. Yeah, it was. It was a canon film, which is quite interesting. Um, and like you said, canon movies, huge in Manila. Oh, really? Yeah. I mean, there's something really um, I wanna say primal, that anybody could love these movies, right? It's something very primal about the canon movies that just, like, anybody could love it. It doesn't, there's there's no barrier to entry for canon movies. And like you said, and says the posters look great on huge billboards, right? And, these are collectible posters. I mean, look at the Masters of the Universe poster. That is sick. That is just sick. They just knew how to do it. And it's just not, um, we're going to talk about, but look at these posters. Even though they're for movies that are just they cared. They cared about the poster, and that to me is, like, super important to me. Is the more movies like Force. But like, look at this set of movies here. I mean, it's just like some. Does anybody have any testosterone in the house? These movies were on steroids. I just loved it. The energy, the passion for this kind of stuff that no one's willing to dive into even these days, you know? Extraction, 2 and, the John Wick movies is about it's about as close as you can get these days. I haven't really seen anybody else really try this hard. And there's a lot of independent films that are out there, independent companies that are out there, but that again, there was something about Canon, the way they were able to market their movies. And again, look at these posters. There, quite a few of them. They spent money on artists to actually put these together. And like you said, and says the whole story on Canon is hysterical, right? Isn't it? It's a wild story. And Hungry Jake says Pluto TV has great documentaries and TV and movies. Oh wow. Yeah, I need to get over there. And Hungry Jake says, bought a working Betamax at a thrift store for $5 15 years ago. Still works. Wow, Betamax. That is definitely a find. And Gary says, Life Force for the win. Oh, wow, yes. That's one of my favorite movies, Gary. I love Life Force. It's did they went for it. They went for it. And Simply Steve is here and says, did they have any flops? I'm not sure because these a lot of these movies, they again, it wasn't about the box office. If they had anything in the box office, it really wasn't. It was about the video sales. They made a lot of money on video sales, and I think that's probably the reason why um, it's a big market for studios that is now missing. And a lot of things are now digital, and they have these subscriptions where they think that it's much better to siphon off like $20 or $40 from people to watch a streaming service every month, when it was better if you had just just had these tapes, or even like even CDs that you could buy and make money on those sales. That's tactical sales right there. And if you're a movie studio, you have hundreds of movies, so people could spend hundreds of dollars collecting stuff from your studio. That's a lot of money. And I'll knock one says, and that's why like I'm sort of like I'm sort of curious, like what uh how we're going to go forward. Like will it just be will we do everything digital from now on, or are we, because we're in this kind of place where there's a lot of people fighting for digital, and then there's a lot of people like fighting for, like, hey, we need physical media, like DVDs and Blu-rays, any way to preserve the actual content being in the hands of the consumer, instead of, hey, you didn't pay your bill this month, you've lost all the movies you bought with this particular um, account service. And El Necron is here. Hello, Necron. LOL made you want to see them. Yes, that's what it did. It really, these incredible posters made you want to see what was inside that little box. Like, what are we gonna watch? And then you would turn the cover on the back, and they had little pictures where you could see more, like shots and just like. Uh, that was your weekend. You were like, okay, what are we're gonna maybe get 3 movies uh, to see, and maybe one out of the 3 movies was gonna be like your new favorite, and that you would actually have to buy that particular uh, video. And I think it's really telling that these guys did concentrate on this, and it was sort of, um, for a while, the formula worked. For a while, the formula worked. Anybody remember this movie? I love this movie. Um, yeah, look at more incredible um, posters. Look at that Cobra poster, man. Damn, that looks good. Sylvester Stallone looks amazing in that, you know? And look at this American Ninja 4 poster. That's pretty cool. They tried to give you everything. Invaders from Mars. I do love this movie quite a bit. And this is an iconic scene that was in the original movie. And they decided, hey, this is the scene that we want to put on the cover. Very foreboding, very mysterious. Makes you want to buy this Invaders from Mars. What's over that edge of the over that hill? What's over there? You want to know what the story is inside. So, uh, Jack says, A Runaway Train, Eric Roberts, John Voight, Rebecca De Mornay. The train sequences are live action and they really make it work. Yeah, there's a lot of energy in that movie, a lot of energy. Um, and yeah, Eric Roberts was so young in that movie. It's just so wild seeing these guys in that. Um, and Brogu says 1985's Life Force. Yes, what a movie! What a movie! Matilda May, she was amazing. What a strong woman! What a strong woman! Um, and her, I've heard her, talk about her experience, and not one bit of it was negative. I mean, she just had a constitution about her that was, unflappable. I love, that lady. She's incredible, courage, incredible courage. And Gary, He-Man flopped too. Yeah, He-Man did flop in the theaters, and I think the biggest problem with, that was one of the last ones that they did. It wasn't the last one, but it was one of the last ones. One of the reasons there were several reasons why He-Man didn't make it very well in the theaters. But I think with He-Man at that point in time, they were spread a little thin. They were involved with hundreds of projects, and I think they it might have been a lot of stuff going on there behind the scenes. But even same, I wouldn't. It became too much at that point. They were working on a lot of projects. Let's see if I can find myself, there's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I loved it. I mean, they were able to get Frank Langella, like, he's big time. He's a big time actor. That's a big deal. And Darth Plato is here. Hello, Darth Plato. Nice to see you, says, "Hey, gang." And, John Walker says, "I remember my dad talking to me, I remember my dad taking me to the video shop and picking up Avenging Force. Great times in the '80s." Oh, yes. And, Jack says the box cover was, the driver on the rentals. Yeah, I mean, if they like, eh, they sold you that box. Like, if it did not look good, and in the same at the same time, they had to give you the tone of what it was that you were getting. Now, if they sold you an action movie on the cover and you got it and it was boring, you just wouldn't get those. You wouldn't get it again, right? You just wouldn't get those films. But to have a cover where there's action, it looks like a big adventure, and then when you get it, it's super, super entertaining. Man, that leaves a big impression on you. And I remember seeing that logo at the front of the movie and like, "Oh, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna enjoy this." And so, yeah, give me 1 second, guys. The allergies are bugging me right now. Give me a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that, guy. The allergies are they were doing so well this morning, and they're like, "Oh, there she is. We gotta get her." So they're attacking, guys. They're attacking. And yeah, the box cover, like the poster. And I was talking last week about the poster for the Marvels and how lackluster it is. And how it doesn't even look like the girls are even in the same room. I'm like, where did they get all these, separate stills of these ladies and just slapped it on this cover? Um, and then you look at this, He-Man poster, and it's like, wow. That's a poster. Alan Quartermain. I'm getting a firm idea of what the movie's about, and it looks great. Like even these movies. I don't know if you guys ever saw Gore. That's a fun movie. Um, but Kickboxer. They paid for an artist to do this. Okay, and it looks great. It's not like I mean, you could probably do a better poster today, but they tried. Like, look, there's a sunset and a bird in the background. I mean, they had a color scheme going. It sold you. It sold you on this. And look, missing in action. Look at that crazy, amazing uh, poster for that movie. Just insane. Just insanely good. Much better than it has any right to be. And William Blake Hall is here. Hello, you made it. And William says, hadn't really planned on this at all. Yet I be here. Oh, here I be. Well, glad to have you. And El Necron says, nothing is cooler than the Cobra poster, right? That background is just like it's just totally red, and he is just cool. He's just the coolest. And Hungry Jerk says, I remember when the theaters had a poster with eight lobby cards. Oh, really? Um, yeah, well, I'm thinking, yeah, they used to have, I'm not sure, it's been a while since I've been to the theater. I don't even know what they have anymore. Yeah, I remember they even had cutouts when I was a kid. I don't know if they do that now. Um, oh, guys, you guys remember when we'd go to the video store and they had cutouts there too? I didn't know that people were actually saving those cutouts and keeping them. William Blake Hall says Cobra was cool. I still defend its closing credits song "Voice of America, Son." Um, Cobra was roundabout when Cobra was roundabout when my fascination with canon began to wrap up. Oh, okay, yeah. That was what, 86, 87, maybe 88. I'm not sure. Yeah, it was on the tail end, and things were starting to they were starting to have problems. And Burgu says in 1985, Silver Bullet was pretty good. Yes, it was. I loved myself some Silver Bullet. It's really an amazing story. It's an amazing story first. Uh, if you are looking for great special effects, it's not there, but definitely a great story and some really great acting too. Really great performances in Silver Bullet. It doesn't get enough credit for the performances. Winter Soldier says, "I'm late." Well, it's great to see you, Winter Soldier. Has anyone seen Chuck Norris versus Communism? A documentary about how films like those from Canon may have had a role in topping um, Romanian communism. I never heard of it. Thanks for letting us know about it. And Jack says, not to bring up Superman, but didn't they do Superman for Quest for Peace? Yes, they did. And I know that there are a lot of people who criticize that movie. Let's see if I got if it's, I think it's one of the later pictures. I know it got a lot of criticism. But it's definitely one of my favorites. Um, let's see, there we are. Quest for Peace. I did love it. It's not my favorite Superman movie, but it was a thing. It did its thing. And I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, if you said, it's the 80s, and for me, Superman in a movie was just great. I just loved it. I was like, "Yes, give me more Superman." Is the story a little, like, not that great? Okay, as long as Superman was in it. Winter Soldier says Cannon Group was a part of the producers of, Superman for, yes, and John Walker says, they did. The budget for Superman 4 was cut in half midway through filming. That's why it didn't look as good as the first three. That makes sense. I mean, at some point, I know that Christopher Reeves was wearing like a hairpiece, and it was just looked so terrible. And some of the scenes, I was like, oh no. I was like, it's still Superman though. And Keith E says, I've not been reading the chat as anyone mentioned thumbs up yet. Oh, thank you, Keith E. You're so sweet. Yes, if you guys are enjoying the content, please do hit the like button for me, and that would help this channel grow, and not only just help this video get to more eyeballs, and I can continue to keep making content just like this. And let's see. Brogu says Chuck Norris breathes air 5 times a day. Yes, what a legend Chuck Norris is. He's just wonderful. Actually, got to write that down. Chuck Norris. Yeah, we gotta do something special for Chuck Norris. He's definitely one of those guys. I think a lot of people are fans of his, but we don't hear a lot of praise for him. Um, I think he deserves some flowers. You know what I mean? And Jack says, like Superman 4, mostly because of Gene Hackman, because Gene Hackman did Lex Luthor for the last time. He's good in anything. Yeah. And Lance Chafin says, "Hiya, RNG. How are you?" Oh, hey, Lance Chafin. Great to see you. And Lance also says it's getting dark and stormy here in Kansas City. Yikes! Moonbeam 87 is here. Good to see you. Oh, the Canon Films thing. Van Damme and Chuck Norris. Yeah, they were they were kings of Canon Film, along with Charles Bronson. William Blake Hall says, did watch Gore, wasn't expect much and got it." Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it's got its moments for me. I did enjoy, the adventure, let's put it like that, and Moonbeam 87 says, "Bucky the Winter Soldier is here." Oh, yeah. And Mikey Sutton says, "Oh my god, I never saw the apple, looks gloriously awful." It's 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 an experience, okay? I like that movie a lot. It's a big it is a big mess. But it's definitely, have yourself a nice drink and watch the film, sit back, relax, be entertained. Allow the film to entertain you. The young lady that was in The Night of the Comet. The Night of the Comet is in it. I forgot her name. I think it's Mary Beth, I think is her name. I forgot. Anybody in the chat knows who the star of the apple is? She was really good in this. I didn't even know that she could sing and dance. And yeah, it's really entertaining. Um, and Moonbeam 87 says, "Oh, the quest for peace was canon." Yes. Everybody's mentioning Quest for Peace was 1989. Yep. That's pretty much when things started to get a little dicey with the company. William Blake Hall, Superman 4 was not done well, but I salute the effort. Me too. I had to chuckle when Chris Stuckman, worried about all of those misses getting flung into the sun. The sun is very big. Chris, he'll be fine. Yes, I mean, I did enjoy that, you know, especially this scene where they're, like, fighting on the moon, and it's just so it's the stuff that w as a person who loved comic books, I love seeing all that stuff. I love them trying. I love them trying to pull it off. I love the effort. Like, nobody else was trying. Nobody else was trying, so I don't mind this. Mikey Sutton says, "I have to see it, LOL." Yes, the apple is just glorious. Again, like, let it entertain you. No criticisms, no judgment, just go in with a blank slate and let it happen. Just let it happen. Oh my goodness. Oh, William Blake Hall says, "In the apple, the villain, from Lethal Weapon 2 plays Go." I didn't did I did see all of the Lethal Weapons, but I just don't remember them, very clearly. It's been a while. I need to, oh, plays God. Oh, yeah, oh, yes, I do know who you're talking about now. Oh, yes. Mikey Sutton says, "Catherine Mary Stewart." Yes, she's wonderful in she's a wonderful actress. I do believe that she's got a YouTube channel, well, was on a YouTube channel, and, she was, of course, in one of my favorite movies, The Last Starfighter, and, yeah, in that movie, sh I didn't like I said, I did not know that she could sing and dance, and she does so very well. It's just the content is very wild. I'm gonna do a review on that one day. It's gonna be crazy and fun. I do enjoy that movie quite a bit. Um, um And, Simply Steve's gives us, the facts. Superman, 4 was released in June of 1987. Thank you, Simply Steve, for, researching that for us. Thank you. Appreciate that. John Walker, Superman 4 is 87, and the speech at the United Nations is beautiful in the film. Really? I don't remember the speech, but I've got it. I've got to watch it again just for that. Thank you, John Walker. And Jack says, "Imagine you go to the movies with your best friend. She wants to see the Terminator, but you convince her to watch Cyborg instead. Then you wake up from that bad dream." Well, you know, I happen to love both. But definitely, that's the Terminator is my favorite movie of all time. But Cyborg's pretty cool. I love that movie. It's a trip. It's a trip. It really is an ambitious film, and I had so much fun watching that movie so many times. It is definitely uh, it's got its moments. And Sue, yes, Stewart was in Christine too. Um, was she? I think the actress they look a lot alike, but I don't think so. I don't think she was the one that was in there. Double check and let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Let's find out if that's true. Sean Holmes says, "Hi, Retro Nerd Girl. I'm sorry for being late." No way. You're right on time. We've got a little bit more to go. And Brogu says, "I love Carpenter's Christine." Oh yes, what an incredible movie. Um, what an incredible movie. And William Blake Hall says, "We're past what I consider the heyday of canon entertainment, but I'll email a little tribute anyway. Take care, everyone. Thank you for recalling Soup's speech, John Walker." Yes, thank you. And let me see. Um, let me see if there's any update on um, whether or not I'll be having a guest or not. Okay, I don't see it. There. If you look, you'll find. Okay, he says, the Outcast Creative says, I'm available to come on for a bit. Well, come on. I was just looking for you. I was like, he said he was going to be in an hour, so we got just timed perfectly an hour in. Come on in. Yes, and yes, no problem, William Blakehoff. And it is, always great to have you on the show. Um, let's see if I can do this. So I'm gonna try to. I guess Outcast Creative is gonna log on soon. Um, just wanted to give you a precursor um, to bring him on. Outcast Creative worked with this group, so we're gonna find out. He just popped in. Let me just arrange things a little differently for the sake of.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm on already. How are you?
Very good. Did I catch you at a bad time there?
No, hang on a minute. We literally just finished watching Invasion USA.
Oh, sweet.
Which, I mean, I've seen it dozens of times, but my friend Matt, the film director from Australia, who's here with me.
Oh, say hi to Matt for me.
He's gonna come and say hi in a sec. He's just kind of watched it properly for the first time. So I don't know what you've covered already on the stream. Hang on, let me put this round a little bit. Here you go, dude. Here he is. Hello.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
For some reason, he looks much smaller than me. I think it's just a perspective from the camera thing.
I'm sitting half a foot away from you.
Yeah,
we're not side by side. I'm not really a miniature person.
So yeah.
Yes, everyone. Matt is not a miniature human being.
No,
I'm actually a hobbit. And,
yeah, he's here. I was going to get all prepared before you brought me in, but I was going to get my Canon soundtracks out because I got a few of those.
Okay, so it is show and tell, everyone. We love show and tell around here.
So, we've literally just finished watching Invasion USA. Where did you kind of get up to in the history of Canon, or what have you covered so far?
We just talked about the formation of the Canon company, and we just briefly talked about a few of the movies. I want to get in detail about the movies later on in other sections. We can go into full breakdowns of the different movies, but I think that you guys being here is really great. So just before you get started, I do have a question for you.
Yeah, go for it.
Now, tell me and tell all of us in detail, what was your role at Canon?
So basically, I worked for Granada Cinemas originally, which was a group of cinemas in the UK. And I started off there as an usher when I was at school.
Oh, wow.
And then I was box office. Then I was head of box office. And then I was gonna was en route to kind of become assistant manager. And then there was and now around that time, I'm trying to remember if I think the first company to buy out Granada, because Granada merged with another company called ABC Cinemas, and Granada and ABC Cinemas were the two main cinema screen groups in the UK in the 70s, and I want to say 81, 82, 83 maybe, going up to, I think Canon bought Granada out, I want to say around 85.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Granada cinema that I worked in, it closed for refurbishment. I was working there when Lady Hawk came out. I remember that.
Oh, Lady Hawk.
Yeah, and I lied about my age to get a job there because I wasn't actually old enough. You had to be 18 to work there, and I lied about my age. I was very tall, so I just kind of bullshitted them and got a job. And they were the manager actually said to me, he said, well, I'm giving you a job because I'm desperate because no one else applied. And I was like, okay, that sounds good to me. And I used to get all the posters as well. I used to take all the posters home. So then, yeah, so Granada got bought out by, I think it was Canon Group. I mean, I could Google all this, but this is all from memory, around the kind of mid 80s. And what happened was the aim of the Globus brothers, or the Go-Go Boys, as everyone called them, was not just to make their own films, but they wanted to control every level of it. So they wanted to make the films, and then they wanted to distribute the films, and they wanted the box office revenue, and all of that. So they wanted to control the chain from top to bottom, and that was their vision. And they went really big. I mean, they bought out a huge number of cinemas, and not only that, they opened a new big cinema, which at the time was considered to be revolutionary, which was called The Point in Milton Keynes, and it was one of the first multi-screen cinemas. And I remember when it opened, every screen was either showing Delta Force or Superman 4. What a choice!
Oh, wow.
And then that cinema actually, it looked great. It was like this pyramid in the middle of Milton Keynes, but it had lots of sound issues. You could be watching one film and you could hear the sound from another cinema. So it wasn't particularly well designed. I think that's all been rectified now. Anyway, Canon Group was based in Hammersmith, and they were looking for a booking agent. So I went up for an interview for that, and it was basically the job was to work with the distributors of the other companies. So you would be dealing with people like UIP, United International Pictures, Fox. I'm trying to remember who all the big names were around there. It was TriStar would have been one of them around then, with a horse, the logo with a horse. That would have been one of Columbia. Columbia was probably still around then. And the job of the booking team, which is what I worked on, was to decide which screens you gave which films to for how long. And basically, the objective of working for the Canon team was that all the Canon films got priority, and you had to go hard negotiation. And the idea that what the Go-Go Boys wanted to do is they wanted to control the majority of the screens in the UK, so that they could bargain really hard with the other distribution companies to decide what films got into what screens. So that was their plan. Now, I didn't work on the booking team for very long. You know why? Because as soon as I joined that team, it was a very, very short space of time, and my memory of this whole era is pretty hazy. But Canon went under and got bought out by MGM. So then we were all working.
Didn't last long, did it?
No, it didn't last long. And then we were all working for MGM, and then I quit that job because I think everybody on the Canon staff from the booking team all got fired, and MGM just brought in all their own people. So now while I was there, one of the things that I had my eye on, because I wanted to become a filmmaker even back then, was getting into production. So all the stuff that came into head office, you used to get these huge books. They were like this thick, and it was the Canon presentation. They brought one out every year, and I used to have 4 of these, and I really wish I'd kept them, and I kept them for a really long time. And they were a massive booklet of posters of all the different films they had in development, including Albert Poon's Spider-Man, which never saw the light of day. You'd have a poster for that in there. Journey to the Center of the Earth, and a whole load of other pictures for different movies. I remember there was one with a poster with 4 guys falling through like the Earth. I forget what the name of that was called, but it was a great poster. That one never saw the light of day, because these things would all be proposed on the basis of the poster, and then they would raise money for, I don't know, kind of half the stuff in that booklet, and then maybe even one half of that would get made. But my friend Albert, who did probably about, I don't know how many films he did for Canon, but he did quite a few.
This is Albert
Albert
Poon.
Poon. He did Cyborg for them. So he said, for example, on day 1 of Cyborg, because I think he did Electric, second film he did after Sword and Sorcerer, Radioactive Dreams. Radioactive Dreams was also canon. So on Radioactive Dreams and Cyborg, like he was told, I think the budget for Cyborg was supposed to be something like 3.5 million. And he's got it. Albert was really meticulous. He had everything planned out, schedules. You know, Matt, as a film director, he can tell you about budgets and schedules getting slashed. It happened to him just recently. And Albert would turn up on
games.
Albert would turn up on day one and say, no, the budget's not 3.5 million. It's 2 million, and you've got to cut 2 weeks or 1 week off your schedule. I mean, imagine the emotional mental strain that puts you under in any job.
Yeah.
But you're trying to do the best job possible in a product that's going to be seen worldwide with your name on it. Not only has it got your name on it, but you're the person carrying the can if anything goes wrong with that product. No one's going to blame the director of photography or the catering department,
Yeah.
It's such a shitty position to put a director in.
Yeah.
It's the worst position to put a director in because you're expected to deliver the same... they basically deliver the same thing but on less money, and you're like, how can I?
And that would happen on. He said that happened on nearly every film that's somebody else, but that would happen on almost every film that Albert worked on for Canon and a couple of other companies.
Of course.
Well,
because they were notorious for cutting their budget.
Yeah, and I mean the funny thing is they would raise the budget.
I'm glad they went under that, like behaving like that.
But then they would cut the budget. So it was like, where did that extra money go? I guarantee you one thing: the producers' salaries did not get cut.
Funny how when those kind of producers who produce films in that way, it doesn't their cut never changes.
Never gets affected. I mean, on the two documentaries you've got, I can't remember which one this was said on, because you've got the Electric Boogaloo one and then there's the Go-Go Boys doc. They're both worth watching. They're both got different elements. The main production manager guy who I saw on that documentary, who I met, he came into the booking department a few times. I recognized him straight away. He said on the documentary, there was one thing that we really should have paid attention to, and that was we should have paid more attention to the quality of the output we were putting out. And I think he was the guy that said the line, if you keep throwing shit at a wall, eventually something will stick. And just purely by chance, I think they got Electric Boogaloo out before no, was it Breakdance, the movie? Yeah, Breakdance. They got Breakdance. Yeah, the first one. They got it out before Beat Street. Beat Street and that were in competition. They got it out first, so they cleaned up at the box office with that. But only because they got it out first.
It's kind of Disney's strategy at the moment, isn't it? Disney's strategy at the moment, just become...
That's a different stream. Don't say the D word on this. Yeah. So that's a very squeaky laugh.
I got tons of.
Yeah. So I mean, as much as I wanted to work on the production side, I never got there with them because it seemed like, as a young, naive person working my way up in the company, that might happen. And then, and the films that really sunk them was Cobra, Over the Top, and Superman 4. They spent huge amounts of money. Although Superman 4 was another one, the budget got slashed right on day one of filming because they'd overspent. By the time Superman 4 was shooting, they knew they were in financial trouble.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, and we saw it quite early on with the cinema chain as well. They started selling off elements of the chain, and then suddenly everything went like that. And yeah, I mean, you didn't see any change in the when they first took over. I was still a box office manager. The only change that we saw in terms of like the quality of the actual cinema itself was that we got these kind of sort of blue peppermint shirts and a Canon Cinemas badge with your name, with one of those tape guns where they type out the name on it. And they started doing Canon logo carpets. They had the Canon logo on the carpets on the cinemas, all the London, all the West End ones, because they bought out loads of the West End cinemas, all the small screens. They only had one big one, and it wasn't a big one. yeah, they bought out all of those, so they all got the Canon carpets. So we were like, when are we getting the Canon carpets? They never did the Canon carpets outside of London, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Big expense. Nah, we don't need to do new carpets anywhere else, just the London cinemas. So it was kind of interesting to see that side of it, which is not talked about on the documentary at all. It's just the production. But someone who worked on the other side and sort of saw the changes there. Yeah, but they didn't really do anything to sort of. There wasn't even any change of the line of confectionery or anything like that. And there was more focus on putting their films in the screens. And of course, that then was briefly my job as well. That was a really, by the way, that was a really toxic department to work in. Everybody was trying to one up each other. Wasn't a pleasant place to work. So yeah, I was not in that job very long. But it was I mean, so long ago. I'm reaching for some of these memories now.
Okay, so well, I do have some more questions now, just to set the stage right now, to explain also the two of you guys. These Lance is part of. He's actually a director. Can you just briefly tell the audience basically about your channel, just a little bit? And I'd like for Matt to also do something about, like, just tell the audience about what he does.
Well, we're both members of the Outcast Creative, because it's basically creative people that collaborate on projects that either connect through the Outcasts or. So we're both members of the Creative. The only difference is I co-founded it with Dickon, who's not here right now. I mean, I started off as a playwright. When film went to digital, I got into directing films, and then I started sort of I did really low budget indie, 2 low budget indies you never will have seen. One that you can see on my channel, which is called The Journey, with Jason Fleming in it. And then how Matt and I met was I backed a crowdfunding campaign of his, because we were doing a blog. It was on a different channel, YouTube channel we're not really using now, but we did a top 5 Kickstarters and Indiegogos that you should back. And my thinking on it was we knew in about a year's time we were going to do a crowdfunder ourselves. So why don't we do a weekly blog, or I think it was every other week, about 5 crowdfunding projects we think are good and why we think they're good and why people should back them. We'll learn a lot about crowdfunding as we look at those projects, and at the same time, we're going to reach out to network other filmmakers all over the world and make contact with them. So it was always film projects that we picked, whether it was a short or a feature, and it was Matt's short that became his first feature, which I've got a Blu-ray of in the other room. And that was kind of how we connected. And as soon as I saw his pitch video, I was like, damn, man, this guy is like my long lost brother. I could just tell we've been through some really similar things, which turned out to be far more true than I realized. I think Alien from LA is one of Albert Poon's films.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because he told me some stories about that as well, and that was with Kathy. Is it Kathy Ireland is the lead, and she's
yeah.
Firewalker. I've got the
well, are you finished with the question? I mean, I wasn't finished.
Sorry, but yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come on to the toys in a minute. So the Outcast was an acting class when it started. We started doing streams online with some of the performances when we were all stuck in lockdown. And then when lockdown was finished, the channel really didn't have a function anymore, because actors then went back out to work again. And our classes started meeting back in person again instead of meeting out online. So then the channel took a different direction, which was about a year ago. And I guess it was then that I thought, well, I've been in the industry for so long, why don't I kind of make it a source for people to find out stuff about the industry, as well as talk about and review the films that I like, that from my childhood, or not necessarily childhood, but that I've watched as I'm growing up. And films have been my whole life. I've just I don't know, I must have seen thousands of films, and you know, and that, yeah. So that's the Outcasts, and now
Okay,
it's really now a resource channel, I guess. And Matt's one of the many Outcasts that pitches in and does bits and pieces with me.
yeah. And so Matt is visiting you right now. He is from
Yeah.
where?
I'm from Australia. I'm from Melbourne, Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've come over to England for someone's wedding with my a friend of my wife, and so I get to stay with Lance for a week, and then I head off sightseeing. So yeah, that's
So
good.
okay, yeah, I just wanted everybody to get an idea of who you guys were and why you guys were here. And you know, besides, these guys are filmmakers and they're part of the industry. They're the real deal guys, and so they're well versed in all of this stuff with Canon.
He
I
is. I'm not. I'm not a big
well,
Canon
you did.
expert.
Well, you just watched.
I
You
just watched. I just
that
watched
makes you-
probably my second or third Canon film ever.
Yeah.
So,
What do you give Invasion USA out of 10 on IMDb? 4? Really? As low as
Yeah,
that?
oh wow!
I'm only going to give it a 4. But you got to remember, I've got no nostalgia to it. You've got nostalgia.
Yeah, I've got some nostalgia.
You grew up with it.
Yeah,
You saw it in
yeah.
its time. I'm 40 years late. You know.
Yeah.
So I'm 40 years late to it. So I look at it through I don't have any nostalgic attachment. It's pretty ropey. It's got some fun moments, and it's got some admirable stuff in it. But
Yeah.
as I was telling Lance, it feels like it was written by someone. The writing's probably one of its biggest letdowns. I'd say whoever wrote it didn't really get it.
Chuck Norris's brother co-wrote it.
Oh boy.
It's like someone who knew that, okay, I've got to have these kind of characters and these kinds of scenes, but didn't actually know how to weave them together in a proper film. So, you know,
It needed a script doctor.
actually, one thing I will say is that I've seen very few Chuck Norris films, and I've always thought that Chuck Norris was a really bad actor. But now that I see him in this one, I'm like, actually, he's not that bad. Actually, he's limited, but he's not.
Yeah, he's
terrible. If you keep him in his range, he's completely fine.
Yeah.
So actually, my thing of Chuck Norris has actually gone up a little bit.
He can only play Chuck Norris, but he plays Chuck Norris very well.
Yeah, he does that role completely fine. I would say he seems probably a better actor than someone like Christopher Lambert, because he sort of reminded me of Christopher Lambert in a way.
Yeah.
And he sort of has that sort of one, that sort of.
We just had a big Christopher Lambert discussion, but we won't go there because we'll save that for your Christopher Lambert stream.
Oh, definitely, yes.
But, so not a big Canon guy. I'm just here for the ride at the moment. So.
I mean, I was working at Canon when Masters of the Universe was released.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
And you know, we had that on for longer than we should have done because it's, you know, but at the time it wasn't considered. Listen, I
couldn't get through that.
I find it perfectly enjoyable for what it is. It's not a favorite rewatch of mine or anything, but
really? Oh my god!
I like it. I like it in its own kid's way. Listen, you and I. Well, I don't want to retro. I'm not going to assume how old you are because obviously you've got a fountain of youth in your garden somewhere. But but you know, I'm from a different era. I was older than Matt, so I'm a slightly sort of decade before him. So we grew up on different films and maybe different levels of expectation. Although we do have incredibly similar taste. But I think I'm prepared to give more B movies a pass than maybe Matt.
I'm not a big B movie man myself. No.
But it's a big Ray Harryhausen fan though, and I know Retro. You're a big.
Yeah, we talked about the Harryhausen, didn't we?
Yeah, but was Retro on that stream when you know Matt met him?
Oh yeah, well you said that. Yeah, the last stream.
I told you. Yeah.
It's like I've had 3 guests on my channel in a row. And they've all met Ray Harryhausen except for me, so I felt well left out.
Yeah, you can't meet him anymore.
No, sadly. Yeah, and I've got another guest coming on next week who's also met him. So wrote a book about him.
Yeah, you're not in the Harryhausen club. Sorry, Lance.
No, yeah, afraid not. I will never be in that club, but I love his stuff. I because in Invasion, the reason you were talking about him is because in Invasion USA at one point, Chuck Norris is watching Earth versus the Flying Saucers.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah. And,
How'd they get the
I need to
license?
watch
to
that
use
again.
Yeah, I don't know how they got the license to do that, but maybe Chuck was a fan of his, and it's probably part of the back catalogue that Canon picked up.
Yeah,
or
they
something.
did. Yeah, they did have a back catalog of libraries.
I've got a question. What are these guys doing today?
One of them's dead.
Okay. What's the other one
So
doing?
he's not doing much. I don't know. He's retired, I think.
Okay.
He retired, because they're both in quite poor health because they were, they were larger than life characters.
Very larger than life.
Yeah,
and
they went for the Harvey Weinstein School of Dieting. So yeah, they were pretty. But yeah, one of them passed away. I think he had it might have been cancer or a heart attack. I forget which. And there's still quite a lot of people that work for them that were around. I'm pretty sure the guy that I worked for I remember when I went in for my job interview, he was smoking a massive cigar and he had this like really gruff voice, like voiceovers, like that guy that does voiceovers for all the American movies. He does the trailer voiceovers.
Yeah.
And he gets driven around in limos and he's always on a big stogie in his mouth. This guy was exactly like him.
Wow.
I went in and I thought, does this guy really work here? Or is this just an actor pretending to be the guy that really works here? But yeah, he was quite a character. He can't still be around. He must have passed away a long time ago because he was 50 then, like 55, 60.
Did both those Alan Quatermain films, were they both canon or just the second one?
No, no. They spent a lot of money on the first one.
They're both canon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get. I tried the.
My jaws dropped because these are like my favorites.
I couldn't get. Again, I haven't got the nostalgia. I haven't got the nostalgia for it because I didn't grow up watching them, so I haven't got that. Extra forgiveness.
Matt's new YouTube channel is going to be called Cynic Nerd Boy.
Cynic Nerd
Boy.
So
yeah, he's not like I said, he's not quite the same. I mean, King Solomon's Mines, I saw at the cinema. By the way, I had a load of friends that worked on Life Force as well.
Got a mate who loves that film.
Yeah, and that ran out of money when they were shooting that, and a whole load of stuff had to be cut. But yeah, when King Solomon's Mines came out, it was like they put it on every single cinema that they could in the West End. It was on like 30 screens for at least 3 weeks.
How fast after Raiders of the Lost Ark was that put out?
That was 1985.
Yeah,
it was like a year after.
Yeah, that was 85.
So they were hot on the heels of it.
Yeah,
they must have been at least developing it while Raiders was being done.
Raiders wasn't Raiders 80,
oh, actually, that was 82.
Raiders was
no. Yeah, Raiders was 82, but it was. I would say the market was very slim because we really weren't getting a lot of adventure films, so I didn't mind it.
There were like 3 or 4 that went straight to video that had these
Romancing the Stone.
That had a pretty big, decent budget. That was a good movie. I saw that at the cinema. I really like that film.
Yeah,
yeah. I didn't like its sequel, but I liked the first.
No,
one.
I didn't like the sequel.
Yeah, different director.
The Jewel of the Nile.
Yeah.
But the first one was pretty cool.
Yeah, I was a little upset that they didn't, they broke up, and then I'm like, what? You gotta have that happy ending and actually go through with with this couple. It's almost like Hollywood doesn't know how to write couples unless they're breaking up or getting back together.
I
would love to see.
We've got somebody else who's met Harryhausen, Raphael Lopez.
I didn't realize that if you wrote letters to Ray Harryhausen as a kid, he did actually read them, and pretty much. I mean, Matt was very lucky; he was working in animation, so Ray Harryhausen actually came to his workplace and he got to animate for him. But my other guests, they all met him because they were fans of his as kids, and it didn't occur to me as a kid that I could track down an address for somebody via their agent or whatever and actually write them a letter and they might respond. And Ray Harryhausen tried to respond to every letter he got.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that's the word on.
I wish I knew that.
Yeah, me too. Right?
Yeah, he really was a genuinely lovely guy. Really, just seemed to care. Just cared about what he did and always gave people the time of day, and he's a good guy.
Yeah, but
And
anyway,
to give everybody a little bit of background, this is something I learned when I met Matt on the stream, is that he actually did some stop motion work during his career, and that's when he met Harryhausen. A really great story.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got into stop motion animation because of Harryhausen's work. I wanted to become a stop motion animator after seeing Jason and the Argonauts and all the rest of the stuff. That's it. I want to be a stop motion animator, and yeah, and then to meet him finally, it was fantastic. So yeah,
I mean,
No.
yeah. So, well, anyway, not to go down the non-canon rabbit holes.
Yes, I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
So you had some things that you wanted to share with us, some show and tell. So
yeah.
go
do those
right
now.
ahead. Let's get you on a full screen so we can
Well,
see it all.
I mean, I thought the music for these 4 films was really good, and I'm a big soundtrack collector guy. These are all vinyls. One of the best films I think that Canon made, which I actually went to see on my birthday in the tiniest screen that they owned in London. It was screen 5 of the Canon Oxford Street. Do you know how many seats it had? 16.
that's small.
That's
like a living room.
Yeah, but I mean, the screen felt big, but it was, anyway. That was Invaders. That was Invaders from Mars.
Oh, nice.
The Tube Hooper.
I didn't realize that Toby Hooper directed this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what? It's for what it is. It's a really good movie.
I love that.
I only saw the original 50s film, which is a bit. Yeah, I hear this is a
I
lot
love
better.
that too, though. They got like one of the best scenes in the original and kind of made that poster. Like, this should be the image. What a great poster. We were talking about the posters earlier and how they were really designed to sell.
Oh, yeah,
those
absolutely.
movies. Yeah.
I mean,
They were-
and I wish you could have seen some of the original versions of these posters in the big booklets that I acquired over the years, because you'd see that the next booklet would come out the next year, and these were really heavy books. They were like encyclopedias. They were massive, these things, and you'd have at least 100 things in them advertised. They got them ready for Cannes. They were on there.
I got a question.
They're still at Cannes.
I got a question.
Yeah, go on.
Who created all of these? Not the artwork, but who specifically designed the idea of the posters? Like, did they have a whole writers team?
It was basically the idea was to go to Cannes, and what their strategy was they were good at this. They pre-sold a movie on a poster,
well, and then go away and write
it. Well, they may or may not have had a script, but it wouldn't have been in production.
Yeah,
then they would go away, and then they would make the movie, and they'd bring the movie back to the Cannes the next year.
Yeah, they didn't. A lot of times,
wow,
they didn't even have actors. Sometimes then they had the posters with the actors on there, and they were just
sometimes people kind of do that today with pitch decks and so on. People get a little sneaky and they put in suggested cast.
Yeah.
Well, who would think of doing that?
I would know that.
It's another one. This is Firewalker.
All right, let me get you full screen.
These are pretty rare as well.
Is that
Louis Gossett Jr.?
Yeah, that's the guy who played the alien in Enemy Mine.
So I bought this on Blu-ray pretty recently. Actually, I think I might put it in the other room.
I've never heard of this film,
but it's fun. It should have been better. It's the one comedy that Chuck Norris did. It's their sort of attempt at Chuck Norris doing like an Indiana Jones-ish.
What is it, a buddy comedy mix?
Yeah, it's a buddy sort of adventure Indiana Jones film. It's got some really fun moments in it, and then there's bits of it that kind of drag, and you just kind of wish they spent a bit more money in certain scenes.
Who directed it?
That's a good point. J. Lee Thompson. He did some of the Death Wish movies. Then, of course, I have the one that Matt's just endured, which is Invasion USA.
Yeah.
It has a reporter character in it. She's an exceptional actress.
Oh, yeah. We were just talking about the acting skills of Melissa Prophet in this film, which,
Speaking of Death Wish, I heard an interesting story about the Death Wish. The original director who had worked with Charles Bronson before turned to Charles Bronson and said to him, he says, what are you doing next? What's your next movie? And he said, well, I've been trying to get this movie called Death Wish off the ground for ages. and it's about a guy who gets annoyed at people and goes around and kills them or something.
Right.
And Charles Bronson said, "I'd like to do that." And he goes, "Oh, you want to do the movie?" And he goes, "No, I just go around and kill people." So I thought, oh, that's.
I cannot vouch for the veracity of this story. I'm just going.
But it was, it was apparently a quote from the director. I may not have told it properly, but that was the general gist.
No, I heard the same story, and I think you nailed it.
This is definitely one of the most memorable scores of a Cannon movie.
Look at that poster.
Oh well, it's Alan Silvestri. I mean,
Alan Silvestri is a good composer.
He's an amazing composer.
He also did Invasion USA. Oh no, Jay Chataway did Invasion USA. But and actually, I mean, the first half of Delta Force I think is a pretty good film. It kind of then gets into kind of Chuck Norris's Invincible and can do absolutely anything territory. But the first hour of it, it's a very weird movie tonally, because the first hour of it is like a very grounded film, quite a serious recreation of a real event that actually happened, but names of things like airlines and stuff have changed. And then the second half is Rambo, basically. So it's a bit of an odd one, but I still like it. Those are the four. I think they're the four Cannon films I've got the soundtracks for on vinyl. I've got a few more on CD. So yeah, they're quite fun to show. It's quite funny that it was based on the hijacking of a TWA plane. You can see that the plane, of course, was called ATW.
Wait, hold it for a few moments. There you go.
Yeah. ATW airline in the just to sort of hint that yes, this is kind of based on that thing, but it's not quite the same.
Sweet. Yeah, they were really great at mocking, doing sort of a mock of other things.
So John Walker's mentioned Cannon tried and failed to make a Spider-Man film. So that was Albert Poon's project.
Oh my God,
and I have read the script for that movie, and it's a good script. And part of the reason it didn't get made was they kept cutting the budget, and Albert said, he just was, but you can't make this film for this much. It's either got to be this much or nothing. And he didn't want to do it. That was one of the films he said no to when they made a lot of cuts. And
was that, did Albert do the Captain America film?
Yeah, he did.
But that wasn't canon though, was it?
I think it was.
That was a canon film?
I think it was.
I haven't seen all that film, but man, that's an interesting.
That's the one with Matt Salinger as Captain.
That's got some of the most bizarre action editing I think I've ever seen. It's like the guy who edited that was on speed or something.
Don't assume that. Don't assume that Albert would have got to have edited that. It might have been literally he delivered a film and never saw it again.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure
that's the one with Captain America keeps nicking everybody's vehicles.
It was
yes.
It's just bizarre.
That was really kind of wild.
He just look that way, and he goes and nicks everyone's car.
It is produced by none other than Menahem Golan, 1990. Screenplay by Stephen Tolkien, American writer, director, and composer.
But is it a canon?
Yeah, it was it's produced by Menahem Golan. So if it's produced by Menahem Golan, trust me, it's a canon movie.
Right.
So
I just wanted to thank Dan Candy for a $4 super chat. I really appreciate that will really help the channel. It says Death Wish 3 is one of the greatest camp films of all time.
That's the one that was. I think that's the one that was shot in London, and they doubled the Docklands for the Bronx, and Inside Man's got loads of funny stories about that. He might if you remember you met him, you spoke to him. He'll, because you're doing 3 parts of this, right?
Yes, 3 parts.
He'll pop on another part and tell you those stories, because he worked on a few Cannon movies.
Oh, okay, that's great.
He was actually so I can get you someone that was actually on the set of a Cannon film as well.
How many films did Cannon even produce over their time? What, hundreds?
Oh,
hundreds?
There were hundreds. Yeah. I came up to about a little over 700.
Oh, was it 7? But they didn't make all of those. They acquired some back catalog as well, and then I think
they're affiliated with them.
And I think in their heyday, I think Menahem and Co. They made about 300, I think, and then then it was back catalog, and I think they had a couple of subsidiary companies as well that they
Yes.
bought out. Like,
Oh yeah. They had a lot of little groups, and it was international, and definitely going to get into that. But I just wanted to give Dan Candy a little special thank you.
When I get my first super chat, I feel I need to have something like that ready.
You do indeed. Yeah.
And Keith E says the Inside Man mentioned Death Wish 3. Oh, cool.
Yeah, he did on the stream we were on the other night, didn't he? Yeah.
I
Nice.
wasn't on that one. I think I was traveling.
You were.
I was in the air.
You were in the air, listening to that Irish woman talking for 13 hours. On the plane.
I didn't know anyone could actually talk for 13 hours straight, but I met.
But they can apparently.
Apparently, that all you have to do is
All I have to do is sit behind Matt and his wife and talk for 13 hours.
I didn't actually know a human could talk to another human 13 hours straight, but they can.
Oh man! Oh Lord!
Unbelievable! I've never known anything like it.
Yeah, even I struggled to talk for that long, and that's saying something.
Oh yeah.
So but hey.
Anyway.
Well, guys, I think this is gonna complete the first episode. And, yes, there.
Oh yeah, because you're coming up to 2 hours already.
Yeah. Yes, and definitely gonna be doing the other two. You're welcome to come back for those if you'd like, and talk more.
I'll be here. He'll be in Scotland, I think.
And as you can see, my knowledge of canon is really not helpful. I'm more learning anything. I'm learning now than I am contributing.
Well,
yes. Giving Matt 70 canon films to watch.
Yes. Here's your homework. By the end, he'll just be like, "Okay, I like them."
Okay, please. I like them. Stop giving them to me.
Man, it's hard to believe that Captain America film had a budget of $3 million.
Yeah, that's I think they put the money somewhere else, but
again,
entertaining no less though.
I wish Albert was here because he would have loved to have done an interview with you and talked through his time.
No, he'd have 1,000 stories.
He would, and such a self-effacing kind of guy.
Oh yeah, I do have a picture of Albert Pune just for everybody for context for you guys to see who he is. Let me see if I can
very
find
robust in that one. I think you showed it. You showed it earlier, didn't you?
Yeah, let me see. Oh,
there he is. There he is on his edit suite.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, a lot of people.
That's an old Steinbeck. Yeah.
Doesn't Spielberg's editor Michael Kahn still use those?
I don't know if they shoot on film.
Yeah,
it didn't look like they used it.
I think he's like stubbornly hanging on. He's like, I will keep editing my films on a Steinbeck.
He seemed like a really nice guy, and really creative, super creative. He did one of my favorite movies, Sword and the Sorcerer. I absolutely.
That's, you know how much I love that film. I'm going to be showing Matt that this week, and that wasn't a canon movie.
It wasn't a canon movie, but it was really good. And then he did a couple of movies that I like that aren't canon. Well, the Nemesis movies. I thought that they were really unique. The first one was probably the best of all of them, but let
me grab something.
The rest of them really went into kind of a strange fetishy thing, but it was still his group of ideas, which I thought was very entertaining. I did enjoy the first and possibly the second one.
Yeah. Was Angelina Jolie in those? Or am I thinking?
No, she wasn't.
I'm thinking of Egyptian sci-fi.
She was in Cyborg 2.
Cyborg 2, that's what I'm thinking of.
There you go.
Oh, 1 second. Let me give you the full screen.
So that's the complete Nemesis box set of all the Nemesis films.
They got a little weird at the end, but the first one was the best movie and with the best concept.
It was very inventive. Oliver Grunner was the actor, I think. That did most of those films. But, Albert really liked the first one. He wasn't. I mean, again, it was like, can you make us a Nemesis sequel? What's the budget? $500,000. You know, I think by the time they got to the end, it was something around that. It was ridiculously low, silly.
Oh yeah.
He made a lot of his films for the budget was like. He says, I don't know where these budgets are coming from. And he used to read them on Wikipedia and whatever. He'd tell me like the budget for that was £1.5 million or £750,000. It wasn't 3 or 4 million, you know. So
well, I know that producers do
jack
the numbers up because you want to say that your movie was more expensive than what it was, because it makes you look more impressive as the producer.
Also means you can charge more on the sales.
Yeah. So it's a $7 million film when really it's only 3.5.
Yeah.
I'm learning so much. Is that is something that that would change, you know, your opinion of a producer.
Well, it changes your perception of a movie. If I go up and say, I made a movie for $500,000, you immediately going to have a perception of that movie. But if I, you know, give you a lot of crap and say, oh, it's $2.5 million, you'll think, oh,
wow,
you know,
impressive.
It's just perception. So
I mean, if you look at the trailer for Matt's film, The Cost, which is being released in Europe pretty soon. American release date, is there one yet?
Australia's October, and then I think December is the UK and US.
US. So don't say the budget, but like, what's the trailer for The Cost? And like, we showed the trailer to the Critical Drinker, for example, and he said, "Wow, that looks like a $7-10 million film," you know. So that's what that's the impression that the trailer creates, and it's
I mean, you gotta have a great trailer, you know, but it also not oversell it to the point where it's not even the same concept, but also to not give away the whole your whole movie.
yeah, it's a bit of an art.
It's really a tightrope. But let's see. I think we have a few more comments. Let's see. And John Walker says Canon Films Jim Cameron's was in the 90s, I think. I did know that he wrote the script for something. I'm not sure which one it was, whether it was Missing in Action or
no, he did Rambo. He did stuff for
Rambo 2. Yes.
He did stuff for Roger Corman. But Rambo First Blood, that wasn't a canon movie, though, was it?
No, not First Blood.
No.
But I think the second one is the one he wrote. And
Cameron wrote the First Blood Part 2.
Oh, did he?
Cameron wrote that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But he was never involved in any canon films.
Yeah.
Well, someone agrees with Dan Candy agrees with you.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, Dan Candy. It's true about Delta Force. The first hour really plays as a real movie.
The first hour is a really gut-wrenching, pretty difficult film to watch, actually. And it's
really?
Very well, especially the scene where they separate off the Jewish passengers is really well done.
No.
And that happened on the real hijack upon which the first half of the film at least is based.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So
and Moonbeam 87 says every canon film ever made is your homework. Have fun researching. And Raphael,
that's for you, yeah. On again. That was the documentary. That's the documentary I referred to earlier. I think I told you about it before.
Yes, Raphael Lopez says start with the documentary Electric Boogaloo and then watch the movies you see in the doc.
Yeah.
Yes. And am I correct? Is that on Netflix or is it something else? Which one is on Netflix?
I actually had a physical disc of that at one point, like a promo copy that somebody gave me. I don't know I think I lent it to somebody. But you can watch it. It's around.
I'm gonna see if I can be able to watch it this weekend or one of the documentaries. And Burglu says I love Nemesis with Oliver Grenner. Yeah, me too. It's just really, I thought it was really well done, and it of course there's those, you know, the budget. I always take in consideration the budget and the things but I thought it attempted something great, and I do love the effort of creativity there. see. And John Walker says he has that same Blu-ray set. And Rogu
Yeah.
says I have Nemesis on Blu-ray and Laserdisc. You guys, you're impressing me.
go.
And Indiana 5, the 330
30,000.
million maybe.
Yeah, 30
Uh,
million, yeah.
Oh, and to
How the hell did they
anti-derivative
come up with that
Jill is
money?
here. Hi Jill. And Vladimir is also here. Says those Rambo movies were by Mario Kazar
Yeah,
and Andrew Vajna.
yeah,
Nice,
yeah,
nice
yeah.
work.
I did say I didn't think Rambo 2 was a canon film.
No.
And they did Rambo 2 and they did Extreme Prejudice with Nick Nolte, which was directed by Walter Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did Total Recall as well, I think, those guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Total Recall.
And Andrew Vanna. Yeah, they did. They did a lot of really good films. Those guys.
Mm.
They did Tombstone and Terminator 2 and
To pick up on John's question there, part of the reason that didn't happen.
Oh, let me read it first then.
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Jen
Okay.
Walker, Sean asked the question of James Cameron's Spider-Man film that was rumored in the 1990s. That's what I was replying to.
So there was a big problem with the rights because Canon had the rights, and then I can't remember exactly who ended up with the rights, but they didn't go back to Stan Lee for quite a while. Don't you remember there was that Fantastic Four film that got made? Which, by the way, I think, wasn't that
that was a Corman film?
Well, yeah, was that Albert Poon that directed that? I forget.
I don't remember.
I think it might.
But it got made only as a rights keeper.
But yeah, the reason that film got made was because they had the rights and the rights were about to run out. And so they did push to get the Albert Poon one made because the rights were going to run out. But then there was complexities with the rights, which is why the Cameron one, I think that was why the Cameron one didn't happen, because there were issues over, and there were people fighting for the rights, and I think they didn't want to get involved in. Anyway, eventually that was sorted, and of course the would have been the Tobey Maguire one was the first one they did with
Yeah.
When was that? Was that 2002 or something?
Yeah, it's about 2000.
2002. Yeah, 2002.
Was it 2002? Yeah.
It's funny. It feels like it was only 5 years ago, but it was 20 years.
20 years ago.
I can't believe that was 20 years ago.
I know.
Yeah.
I remember I remember. Oh no.
Yeah.
20 years, so it went too fast.
Yeah. God, yeah. Where did we go?
So this is okay. So this is, I would say that this would be the end. I did have a question that was off topic from Sean Holmes, and I'm not sure if I should answer it, but it could lead to a spiral or
a major rabbit hole discussion. Rabbit hole alert.
Rabbit hole. Before we get to that, we got Brogu who says if Chuck Norris were to travel to an alternate dimension in which there was another Chuck Norris and they both fought, they would both win.
Yeah.
Well, neither of them can be beaten, and so I would say that you'd just be an eternal punch up that would never end.
I think they would team up and they would make a buddy movie, and it would be called The Norrises.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Yeah, they would unite against the dimension of the double Stallones or something and take them on.
Ooh, I like it. Okay, so Sean Holmes, there was a discussion prior to this stream on several other streams about time travel. And we came to a point in which someone suggested, hey, what do you think about an idea of the Terminator and the Matrix movies being sort of crossed? And I was like, it might work. And I had some ideas about this, but this is Sean Holmes' response to that. And he says, I was thinking about your desired crossover between Matrix and Terminator. IP rights aside, I'm confused at how the characters like Neo would be relevant. And in my idea, I don't think that Neo would be necessary for that kind of story. I would tell that story like before Neo even exists. Or even
are the same story in many ways.
Yeah.
Like almost thematically they're the same. But without the virtual world, you don't need a Neo.
I think
One's hardware. One's a hardware film. One's a software film.
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna guess that your story, Retro, would be set before the Matrix was created. The machines are dominating, let's say, 2/3 of the Earth.
Yeah.
And to power up, that takes a lot of power. They realize how they can harness power from captured human beings that they keep alive in these podules, so they generate power. But in order to keep their brains intact and working, they come up with the idea of the Matrix, which the supercomputer of the Terminator creates for them to keep them working. That would all fit within that universe.
But they need the T-800s to go around and hunt them and gather them all up.
Yeah. And that's
in
what
the future war. So it's
Yeah.
almost like they're the they have to go out and farm, not because they can't farm them yet. So they're going to go out and gather them.
Yeah.
They have to farm them. But here's okay, let me see. Sean Holmes also says Terminators don't exist in a virtual world like Neo's.
That's right.
Tricks
They're
won't work in
hardware.
cyberspace. Yeah, so that's why Neo is not part of the story.
No,
And
he wouldn't be.
yeah, because he couldn't be part of the story. And I thought that it would be really cool that you have these two different groups. You have Skynet, who is like, we need to destroy all humans in order to, to create our perfect, robot world. And then you have the architect, who is saying, no, we need humans for power, and we need them, we need to be able to control them in this sort of world. And so it's like the two of them fighting against each other, and humans, whatever humans are left, they have to make a decision, like which one of these are the right, which one should we fight to help. I'm probably going to try to help the architect, because
sit back and let them fight it out and see who wins, and then let them fight each other, then go fight the winner.
yeah, that would be actually a smart idea. Or whatever humans are left are trying to manipulate the situation in order to create the best outcome for themselves. So I mean, I would rather, like, Neo and all those classic characters not even be in the story, because that has already proved itself to be too complicated in its own existence. To be very honest with you, like, no Morpheus, none of those guys, not yet. I mean, you could, if you wanted to hint at them, I think it would be good. But this isn't something I want to do, but I did have someone mention it, and I said, you know what, I think it could work. I think it could work, because they're all both in dystopian worlds of Earth, and they there are computers systems that are doing their own thing. So I thought that would be,
they're almost like the same idea, but told with, essentially, if you boil it down, it's man versus machine.
I was just about to say that. Man versus machine.
Man
versus machine.
Yeah. But just told in a different perspective.
Yeah.
exactly.
And one has time travel, and the other one has virtual worlds.
Yeah, and I think
one's really good.
yeah.
And
I think
First Matrix is good.
First Matrix is amazing. I
it's
watched it
excellent.
again for the first time, and that's an amazing
No,
film.
it's a good film.
The sequels have good moments, but on the whole aren't great movies.
No.
Yeah.
So, and I say that even though I've got a friend who's in them, and I love him. He's a great actor, and he's in those movies. But I think
Yeah, I appreciate them, but I don't love them as much as I did love the effect of the first movie and what it meant. And I feel like the other movies do kind of get in the way of that powerful concept at the end.
Yeah. I think the Terminator franchise suffers from the same problem. But I think the first two, and then everything else you can forget.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, Terminator unfortunately dug itself into two hilarious holes of story plots. But I actually had an idea how to fix it.
I did too.
If only people would listen to those ideas.
Yeah, I know.
But they never do. They just
I
they just keep digging the hole deeper.
I had the perfect idea for the third film, which was the whole movie was about the final attack on Skynet, and the movie would end with them just getting there, just seeing the Terminator being sent back, and that final conversation between John and Michael Biehn. You've got to find this woman.
Yeah.
Off you go.
So it links
and,
to the first film.
and then links to the first one. There you go. There's your cycle.
And
Boom,
you know,
there's your trilogy.
And and it wouldn't need necessarily be a time travel movie, because that was the problem after everything's from Terminator 2 just rinsed and repeated the same. Except Salvation.
My third one, the whole gimmick with it would be all set in the future, and it would be about all the different defense mechanisms they would have, the different little Terminators and big ones and flying things, and so it would be about the battle to get into the factory, and you'd start off with like a team of 20 guys getting in around the back to get inside while the main attack's happening on the front, kind of like a Troy situation. And then gradually they would be whittled down, and you'd have like three or two left, and John Connor would be one of them. And
that's sort of where they were heading with Salvation, but they didn't quite get
they kind of showed a bit of it when it first started. Like, oh, I'm going to get my script. It's looking good. And then it's like, okay.
Yeah. No. I think, they made a left turn in Albuquerque in...
Not even sure they got to Albuquerque.
It was like, what happened? Like the idea was like, yes, a movie centered around John Connor. Exactly what we needed.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, well, let's bring this other character into it. And what?
Yeah, who are you? Why are you here? Why is Sam Worthington playing this role? Yeah. Why is he
very frustrating to see that happen, and us basically lose the franchise after that point. It just was, and I know a lot of people are like, look, after 2, everything else is just. But I think at 3 is where they not 3, but 4 is where they really lost everything. And also there were many. If you look at the first movie, and they show you the world of the Terminator, or in the future, they had different Terminators working together. Like, it wasn't just the Arnold mold. There were other people as well. And I would have loved to have seen that too. It's just like they got in their head that every Terminator looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger, and so we've got to use him for everything. And it's like, you look at Terminator 2. They use a different actor. It's possible to have other actors play the Terminator. You don't have to always have that model of Terminator be.
That's right, because they're meant to be infiltration units, right? And if they all look the same, then they wouldn't be very good. Because once you know what they look like, you'd always go, "Oh, that's the Terminator."
The guy that comes in with the smart gun.
Thank you.
Yeah,
the guy that comes in with the smart gun in the first film, where the dogs start barking. Great scene, by the way.
It's wonderful.
Really economical scene, but really well done.
That's not an Arnold.
No, that's not an Arnold. Then it cuts that shot, and his eyes are glowing.
Red.
Wonderful.
You could have. You could have had a Terminator that could have even infiltrated the unit that's going around the back, and you could have had a scene where he wipes out half the squad, and that could have happened like halfway, your second act or whatever. We should do a stream where we rewrite Terminator 3.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
that'd be a great live stream. We just would just develop the whole thing.
But it would have only been good if Cameron had done it. I'm sorry, Cameron should have finished that trilogy and nobody else.
I agree.
Yeah, and I think he at that point did not was just done with the idea. Terminator 3, I didn't think was a horrible movie. They tried to continue in the footsteps, but they, of course, they made the biggest mistake, which was, they changed the fact that, it's still going to happen. Judgment Day is still happening, so we have to, still fight this stupid thing in here. There's another Terminator that they sent back in time. And it's like, okay, so I get the idea that the Terminators are like, yeah, we're still here, and so let's keep going back in time. But every time they send a Terminator back in time, they run the risk of destroying themselves. And so, like, I'm logically, think like a computer. Like, the logic, go back in time and change stuff. Like that wouldn't make sense. So it just kept sounding like a bad idea the further it kept going along.
Yeah, definitely.
And
I think there's good parts of Terminator 3. It's almost like, if you think of it, it's only when comparing it to 2 that you go, it doesn't hold a candle. But if it was just a standalone Terminator-ish adventure film, you'd go, oh yeah, that's perfectly fine. It was a bit like Terminator 2, wasn't it? But The fact that it lived in the shadow of the second and the first.
The story, yeah, and it
Yeah.
screwed with the
I thought Nick
continuity.
Stahl was actually a really good choice.
Nick Stahl's a great
Yeah.
actor.
Actually, Nick Stahl,
love
I think,
him.
is a stronger actor than Eddie Furlong.
He's a massively underrated actor.
He
that
is,
guy.
Yeah.
and I actually think Nick Stahl is a better actor than Edward Furlong. Just naturally, is a better actor than Edward Furlong.
Yeah, well, I mean, Edward Furlong sort of his career kind of peaked, and
Yeah, it would have been interesting and
some
great
poor life
if Nick
choices
Stahl
and-
got the Terminator 2 role and then was able to carry it over into 3. That would have been
Yeah.
But,
he
But
was
I
pretty,
I thought Furlong was wonderful in the first one. And,
No,
and
yeah.
the second
he
one.
was good. He was good. But
I even like the gingerhead buddy that played his mate.
Oh, he was fantastic. Yeah.
Hey, he
And
went
I
that
think-
way, and Robert Patrick's like, get out of the
Actually,
way, kid.
everyone. That's what I think. That's what makes Cameron's film so damn good. Is that everyone in Terminator 2 is good. Even just the lady at the desk at the hospital. Even the guards. Just everyone in the movie's good.
Yeah. It
Even
just
the guys
is.
that get out of the truck and get killed and stuff. They're all good.
Yeah. And just to clear things up, I did enjoy Terminator 3 quite a bit. The only problem that I basically had with it was the continuity, and I thought that Terminator 4 should have continued with Nick Stahl. That he should have been. He
Absolutely.
should have just played John Connor. And what I had as an idea that I don't know why it wasn't used was sort of build a story around Kyle Reese and his father. I mean, well, his son, right? So he's his father. He has to be a father figure to a young boy who is eventually going to be his dad. And
That's
so
right.
it's like
Role
protecting him.
reversal, isn't it?
Yeah. So then I was thinking like movies like Extraction 2 or Extraction 1, where you have this whole thing where this guy is, I don't exist if this guy doesn't make it out of this whatever crazy, situation. And how much drama could be behind all of that.
Yeah.
And also building the relationship between himself and his father. This is his father. Like imagine like going back in time and being able to influence your parents' lives. Like that's pretty big. It doesn't happen very often, except for time travelers who are able to do that. And like this is such a special moment, and so I would build on that drama if I was putting a story together for the fourth.
We need to do a Terminator retro Outcast reboot stream.
Yeah. How to fix the Terminator.
How to fix the Terminator.
How to fix the Terminator. It
what
needs
they
it,
should
I
have
think.
done.
Yeah. I'll be quite happy to talk about my concept for that in depth,
Yes.
The funny thing is I guess where you're coming from retro and of course a lot of cinema goers too is there's usually a commonality between what people want in a sequel. They want the stuff that was good about the last film, and they also want to see some new things.
Yeah.
And stuff that keeps it original, and they want there to be a reason for it, not just to make more shishing, and a good example of a sequel that worked perfectly, which, by the way, everybody in the industry thought it was going to bomb. Everybody thought it was going to bomb. No one had any faith in it at all.
Which one?
Aliens. Everybody thought Aliens was gonna tank.
Oh, yeah.
It was a really difficult shoot, and all the British production crew, who are a bit like that over here, they were all tongues wagging.
Ridley was so established, and Cameron was so young.
Yeah, no one knew who Cameron was. No one on the cruise liked him. And he had a very hard work ethic, which, by the way, I completely agree with personally. And and he wasn't particularly well liked by a lot of people. But my friend's dad was the DOP on it, and that was his first job, because the other DOP, him and Cameron disagreed, and Cameron fired him. So Alfie's dad, God, I've forgotten his name now. He also did Thelma and Louise and whatnot. He came on and he had a great relationship with Cameron, and I think the dynamic between the two of them probably really helped with that movie, as well as fantastic casting and a fantastic script. But that is a set of circumstances that could have so easily gone the other way. And the problem is, when these films get created, or even films that are getting created now, it's not a group of people like us sitting around a table going, okay, what's the best for this franchise? What's the, how can we best serve the material that's gone before? How can we pay faith to fan service, but also come up with something new and captivating? Give me ideas. And you'd like to think it's like that scene in The Player where the head producer is, and then everybody's throwing ideas at. It's not so much like that now. It is, but the criteria around that room is completely different. How are we going to make the most money? How are we going to maximize the appeal to as many people as possible?
What do our focus groups say we've got to concentrate on?
Yeah, what boxes have we got to tick? And so what you end up with is a very sort of bland, naff product that ends up pleasing
in the kitchen.
Yeah, that ends up pleasing no one. And the visionaries have gone. It's a collective of visionaries, and that's why you don't get a clear leader, and that's why you don't get these strong characters who go out there and make these great movies. Who's the next Michael Mann? We're doing a stream on Michael Mann soon, because we're both massive fans of Michael Mann. If you want to come on that, as you know, you're always very welcome. And we're going to particularly talk about Heat, The Insider, Last of the Mohicans, Collateral.
I will sit that one out, because I really have not seen any of those. I've seen the last of the Mohicans.
Got to put them on the list there. Right? You've got to add those to that list.
Yeah, it's a long list now.
They're technically retro movies now. I hate to say it,
and I would say a little bit stronger than canon, I think.
I would say
no way.
They're definitely stronger than canon. They don't have as many neon pink jumpsuits in, but they are. And
how many explosions are in the movie is what I want to know.
Big explosions in Heat.
Lots of cannon fire going off in
I saw Heat a long time ago, though.
But but I asked myself, who's the Michael Mann out there now? And I'm looking sort of at the up and coming filmmakers. I don't see that person.
It's because movies is too much by committee now, and there isn't those singular visionary people that just. I mean, the only directors I see now that actually are really being heralded are the directors that actually they bring their own stamp to it.
Yeah,
that's why all these Marvel films we all go, oh, Marvel films feel so samey. Like there's nothing really that separates one from the other, even though you've got all a spate of different directors. None of them are bringing their own individuality to those stories.
No, they can't.
Only very marginally, some of them can bring a slight edge to some of their work, but it's all.
But they're not directing any of the action stuff anyway, because that's all done in computers by the post-production.
No, and they're done by second and third unit directors, and they're worked out months before the director even. So
they're doing the dialogue scenes with the principals, which is maybe 60% of the movie. What else are they doing? I think that's it, right?
Yeah.
So they don't really get to inject a lot of themselves in it. So.
Yeah, it's
proving time travel is possible. Look, see here and here. We've got your screen up on another screen. We're looking into the past while we're in the future.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of the past over here, my auxiliary computer as well.
Time travel happening as we speak.
Yeah. There were quite a few incredible comments in here. I want to hit on some of them.
Was someone having a dig at you because you're talking about Terminator?
Well, no.
You did pre-warn this section. You said we might go down a bit of a rabbit hole here.
That's because I did do quite a bit of talking about it in previous streams, and everybody knows that once you get me started talking about Terminator, I can't shut up. But it's because I really loved Terminator is my favorite movie, and I really loved where they were going. I really loved that movie, and I was really surprised that the second movie was actually really that great, and that was pretty amazing. Much love to James Cameron for knocking it out of the ballpark, because this could have been a disaster. And then 3, again, decent movie. Liked it. Didn't like.
Is that the one with the female Terminator?
Yes. The female Terminator. I loved her.
She was good as a character. She was good. I didn't like the plot for that film, I'll be honest.
Well, it was a bit of a rinse and repeat of number 2, which is what
It was.
That's the only Terminator film I've seen that I saw of those first original things. It's the only one I saw in the cinema. I missed Terminator 2 in cinema. I was not allowed to go and see it back in the day. I was too young.
Sorry,
Yeah, and
sorry.
of course, they brought back Arnie for that again.
Yeah.
And so it's like they keep bringing him back, and I was like, "What is he doing here now?"
Well, he was the linchpin of the series, really. Well,
Yeah,
as far as the market was concerned.
I need a vacation.
yeah, but yeah, he was back, and like I said, it's a decent movie. And but four really was sort of the end of the line for me. And all of the other movies after that really just
Four was
no.
Four was Salvation. That's the one that
Yeah.
got heavily rewritten halfway through shooting, which is why
Yeah.
it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Was 5 the one where they killed
I-
John Connor on the beach at the beginning?
That's the fifth one.
Was that
That's the fifth one.
That's
Yeah,
the fifth- no, that was the nail in the coffin. I
Yeah,
didn't even see that
because
one. I saw the trailer. And
that's a bit like the Alien prison film where, you know, you've just gone through this whole big rigmarole of we've saved Hicks and Newt. Hey, at the beginning of the next film, we just killed them for you. Oh, thanks for that. Cheers.
But I don't mind that. I'm a big defender of Alien 3, but
no, I don't. Alien 3 is not a bad
Alien
film.
3 is great. Yeah.
You didn't need to show that they got killed. They could have got ejected into a different pod. They could have gone floating off into space. Maybe they didn't end up on that planet. They didn't have to end up there.
That probably would have been a good way to get around.
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Keep the options open. Why kill them off? You know.
I know, and you know, look, I really loved Hicks, and I really wanted him and Ripley to, you know, get together. I mean, I wanted the little love story between those two.
But the Alien films are horrors, and they are nightmares.
Yeah,
it is a nightmare world, and they
Excellently
are
put, Matt. I do agree with that. That there are
I
nightmares.
don't mind that it goes dark, but
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not a romantic love story situation.
Now, I'm going back a little bit here, and Costello is here, and he is definitely back on target with the Canon films, and lists a couple of classics that he loves. And he likes Cyborg, Bloodsport,
I didn't know
and a few of the actors, Chuck Norris and Charles Bronson.
Yes. CN.
Yeah, I mean, every
CN.
script that came into canon or that was written went to the two Chucks first because they were contracted with canon, and actually Bronson was supposed to be coming in our office every day, and every showed up for work that day who you hadn't seen in like forever. Everybody was in the office that day.
Oh wow!
Charles Bronson's coming. Charles Bronson, you know, my tie and all this kind of thing. Everyone's there. You know, all the girls' makeup. He didn't turn up.
Oh,
so they said he was going to pop in, but he didn't come in. I think he was there for a premiere or something. He
was pretty up in age at that point.
Yeah, I think it was to tie in with the release of Assassination.
Okay.
If I remember rightly, but I could, this is a long time ago, so I might be getting some of this stuff. Hero and the Terror I saw in America in 1988, and that one is in my book.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, guys, Lance has a book called, do you have it handy?
Yeah, funnily enough, I do, because it's on the bookshelf behind me.
It's available on Amazon, guys. Very, very nice.
Matt's wife is currently reading it on a train somewhere.
Oh, good. And
I just gave her a copy. I forgot to sign
in the story, in the book, he talks about his experience in 1988 of seeing how many movies?
It was at least 135 for the first time, plus a load of repeats. I watched the Untouchables, I think, about 6 times that year. 4 of them at the cinema. So,
yeah.
It was good. It was a great year for movies, though. And,
it was a very good time for movies.
We were talking about that on the other
bit of an apex
on another stream, and you had a lot of canon sort of B movies out that, you know, unlike myself and Retro, a lot of people would say either weren't great films or are beer and pretzel films. And I mean, that's not an unfair description of a lot of them, but there were also a lot of really good studio pictures. But it was the first year of NAF sequels. There were about 7 or 8 big studio sequels out that year, and they were all pretty bad.
What NAF sequels in '88?
I'll tell you. I will tell you right now. They're all in the list. So you had Arthur 2, which was one of the first films I saw in America. I saw it the same day I saw Willow. That was a terrible movie.
What?
Revenge of the Nerds 2.
No way.
Oh, okay. You're talking like Caddyshack and she crap like that.
Caddyshack 2, Mission in Action 3, Nightmare on Elm Street 4. Caddyshack 2 was.
Yeah,
Caddyshack
I barely
2
regard them
good.
as movies. Yeah,
these are sequels. Fright Night 2, that wasn't bad. That was okay. Fright Night 2 was all right. Evil Dead 2 was awesome. That came out. That was a good sequel. Hellbound Hellraiser 2 was okay. Death Wish 4. American Ninja 2.
House 2.
So, House 2. House 2
just
also.
horror films, horrors and comedies, really.
Yeah, horrors and comedies, pretty much. Yeah.
Moonbeam 87 stopped watching after Salvation. Yeah, so did I.
Yeah,
I gave the Terminator Genesis 10-15 minutes, and
I didn't watch the whole
and
thing.
I ended up swearing and cursing at the screen and turned it off and was just enraged. It was actually,
Genesis,
it actually enraged me. I hated it so much.
You don't want to see an enraged Matt. He goes. He doesn't go green. He goes like a sort of purple, blotchy yellow. So,
and then when I saw the trailer for the Terminator 5, the Dark Fate, I saw the trailer and that was enough.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What have they done? I feel like the Godfather. Oh, look what they've done to my boy.
Oh yeah, Retro. You coming on our stream on Tuesday when we're doing Rocketeer, Shadow, and Phantom. Those are three of your favorites.
I will be working at my other job.
Oh,
the secret spy job.
If we're still on when you come in the door, because knowing me and Matt, it might be possible that we might be on until the wee hours. Listen, I'll send you the link anyway. You want to jump on the end? Jump on the.
Yeah,
you can be our guest. You can be our guest on the end.
Okay, that sounds great. I also wanted to say a quick hello to the Bat Channel.
Oh.
Which was here for a little bit. Says it was silly to have Sam Worthington turn in that role.
He was like the it boy at that time, wasn't he? For 5 minutes.
I didn't understand. I mean, I like him as an actor. I just didn't understand why he was in the movie. When there's a clear line of like, let's make John Connor the center of this thing. And he had like 3 films around that time where the character was constantly like, I am a man or a demigod, or I am a man of a blue alien.
I'm a man or a blue alien.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much. Thanks for being here. And I'm going to zoom down a little bit. Yep, there's, oh gosh, here. Sorry about that. It says, I watched Terminator 6 on Hulu, and I can, without question, say I would have left the theater in the first 10 minutes. I hate when the recon stuff.
Oh yeah,
retcon.
I like this bat. I like this Bat
stuff.
Channel.
Yeah,
I like this. Everything that's been said by Bat Channel so far has been on point.
Yeah.
Well, you should definitely check out his actual YouTube channel.
I will. I think I'll go and subscribe.
I'm really great. And Tim Talks just walked in the door. Says on your left. Great to see you. And by the way, this whole Terminator talk is really something that Tim had asked me a question about several live streams ago.
Tim.
Yeah, he asked me about possibly what could happen if Terminator, what do I think of a Terminator and a Matrix connection there?
It sounds like a legal nightmare.
We covered that about 2 hours ago, I think.
Yeah, we're still going at it. And Brogu says, RNG, I'm gonna watch Evil Dead 2 one day. Oh, good.
Evil Dead 2 is a great film, and actually, if you haven't seen it before, you should have 2 and 3 ready to go. That would be a great double bill, because 2 ends where 3 picks up, and you can watch them straight after each other. And they did shoot one after the other, but Evil Dead 3 was locked in a legal battle, and it was held off release for about 3-4 years. And I got to see it at the London Film Festival before that problem was solved, because it was allowed to have a festival screening, so we made sure we got to go to that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sean Holmes says the question says in Terminator Dark Fate they accomplished what was attempted in T4. They implemented the bionic woman into it. Okay.
Wait, does he mean T3?
A
No, there's
T3
a
probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
T3's
Because
got the female Terminator.
But isn't there a female one in T4 as well? Or am I? No, there isn't, is there?
No.
No.
No, that's just
No.
I think he means
Sam Worthington's the
I
half
think he
robot.
means T3 and T5.
T3 and T5, yeah, because
Yeah.
Dark
Oh,
Fate is
T3 and
5.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep, they had a
Ooh, super chat alert! Super chat alert!
Oh, okay. Thank you. I need
No, Tron and
and
Terminator.
Changham says, "Do you think Tron and Terminator could have a crossover?"
Nah.
Matrix
and Tron. Matrix and
Yeah.
Tron.
Matrix and Tron have a better
Yeah.
chance of
Yeah.
crossing.
Tron
The
could
styles
even
are
act
too different between the two.
But good luck getting the people who hold those rights to
Yeah.
see eye
to
to eye.
connect it. Yeah.
Did
Well,
you like the Tron sequel, Retro?
I actually did not see it. It looks interesting, so it's on my
It had a
list.
great look,
It looked amazing,
but that's sort of where it ends.
but it was a case of style over no soul or content. I just was not impressed.
No, it's sort of one of those movies you can just put good music on, turn down the music of the movie,
Yeah.
put on some great music, and just enjoy some nice visuals.
Yeah.
And try not to be distracted by the uncanny valley of
I did that with
Jeff Bridges.
Waterworld once.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and a great seal track came on during the fight on the tanker on the end where Costner was like abseiling down on that thing, and it really worked. And I was at one point I was like, "Oh, is this song in the movie?"
Well, thank you so much, Dan Candy. Again, a wonderful super chat of 1999 says, "Hey kids, I'm digging the stream, but I have to go. Treat yourselves to some lattes on me." Thank you so much. And let's see if
I think that'll be lattes singular with the rising cost of living.
Yes.
One latte and a tip.
We can share a latte.
So we're just asking Retro, how did you make the groovy thank you thingy?
Like you make any other video. But I'll go into detail.
We're not talking to two filmmakers here. You don't think we know how to do that sort of thing, do you?
Oh yeah, that's pretty much it. So I just wanted to say once again, thank you, Dan Candy, for this wonderful super chat, and also I hope you have a wonderful day ahead. Take care of yourself, and I hope to see you in another stream soon. Take care. Great conversation, by the way.
Bless, that's very kind.
And so yeah, did you really I just it's
one of those.
I love making those kind of clips. They're just so much fun.
Yeah. Now it's funny actually, because I was thinking about this the other day, because we already had this whole debate over AI doing scripts and all the rest of it. Pretty soon, I think the software that you're going to get in terms of AI generating things, particularly visual effects, is going to become so sophisticated that the quality of independent filmmaking is just going to get higher and higher and higher. And I think we will reach a point in time where the technology will be so good, it'll be very difficult to tell between an indie and and real and a non-real effect and things like that. And I mean, that partly scares me as well, because it's such a massive machine, a film. You only need to look at the credits on, a big budget movie, and you see how many people work on it. What's happened in recent years is the mid-budget film has almost completely disappeared. So instead of films getting made for between sort of 5 to 30 million, everything's kind of 50, 60 or 70 and above. How much was Indiana Jones again? 300.
300.
And then
that's the other extreme.
And then the opposite end of the scale, particularly at the level that we often find ourselves working at, and my friends as well, they've got a movie in Fright Fest, which is the big horror festival coming up in a couple of weeks in London. Everybody at that level is kind of working at 1.5 million is big, but most of them are shooting films for between 250 to 500,000.
Yeah.
And
well, it just becomes you're making poverty-stricken films, or you're making exorbitantly highly financed
I mean,
films.
you
You've
ca-
lost the middle ground, which is
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
all the most interesting films
Yeah.
start.
True,
with the middle
that's
ground,
true. Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, because
Well,
Canon
Like Jurassic
that was
Park, the
that,
first Jurassic Park was a pretty middle budget film for the
about
90s.
20 million.
No, it was a bit more than that, but it wasn't like Terminator 2 numbers or anything like
No.
that. That was like 100 million back in the day, and Jurassic Park wasn't as high as that.
But Canon films, like the top end ones, were that sort of middle ground, because they would spend money on things like Cobra, although most of that would be Stallone's salary deal on a napkin. Do you guys know the story about how Van Damme got his contract with Canon?
I
He-
kind of talked about it in the beginning of the film, but
That
why don't we save that one?
Save it. Yeah.
for-
Okay,
We'll
cool.
save it because we're going to talk about his movies in detail. And just going to finish out really quickly. We're going to wrap things up, guys. Don't want to take too much of their time. Let's see.
Says the lady who gave me 5 hours of her time on the
You're sweet. Sean Holmes says, "Okay, retro nerd girl. Tron didn't work. How do you feel about Battlestar Galactica and
How many of these
Terminator?"
crossover scenarios are we gonna? I think like
Well, Terminator and Battlestar would work
Maybe.
out. And again, they're basically the same. It's the same. It's ultimately, when you boil it down, it's the same plot.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
the same plot.
So
Yeah.
it would work, but it's the same plot.
It could be the same plot set further in the future.
Yeah,
where-
and
where
in
the-
space. Yeah.
Yeah, in space, where the war broke out of different planets
Yeah.
and different solar systems, I guess.
Yeah, but it is essentially the same storyline.
Yeah, which is great. I think Sean Holmes, I think you got something there. Brogu was saying that technology will be so good you'll be able to make your own Terminator movie, which which is great. I mean, that means like people like me can make a movie. I love that opportunity for us. And that means that even like small budget movies may be able to breach the barrier. Cross our fingers that some of this technology won't be exclusive to just the rich and the powerful, but the truly creative people who don't have a lot of money, or who are just learning this on the fringe of the industry, because I think it just feels so big when you think of Hollywood movies, Disney, Warner Brothers. This is big stuff, and then for a lot of people, they get they get discouraged. So maybe this is an opportunity for more, not only just more content out there with wider voices too. Different voice, like, so what if Hollywood has an agenda of whatever they want to push at this particular time? Now it's truly in the hands of the people, and we can make really interesting films. And like creators like yourself can actually make movies with the creative concepts that you have, and not have it be so expensive, or
Well, look, editing and cameras have now come to the point where the consumer can buy a camera and use editing and sound equipment in their home on a single computer. That is Hollywood standard. Like, that technology brought Hollywood like 25 years ago. To have an editing program that's on my computer now, like DaVinci Resolve, 25 years ago was unthinkable that I could have access to something like that. So the technology has already given the tools of the professional to the people in that respect. So yeah, it's only a matter of time before visual effects becomes the tools of the digital visual effects become tools of the everyday person. But I will still say, as a filmmaker, that it comes down to the person using the tools. You can have great tools, and you can, but if you're not using those tools as a filmmaker, because it's not the tools that make great films. It's filmmakers. It's having the ability to use those tools in a good way, with good stories, good scripts, and people who know the craft. And that'll make a good movie.
And who know how to tell a story, like who know the tricks, and have creative vision. Because I think that's another thing too. Is like having that creative vision to like to show an emotional thing on screen without words. My my heart, my heart, my heart. Yeah. Let's see. And the Bat Channel mentions this. Said I wouldn't be surprised if there's some major backlash with changes and updates to copyright law due to AI technology advancing. Yeah, that's a big controversy right now. People trying to figure out how this can be legally used, and also if there is credit that needs to be given to any particular artist, or a lot of these AI machines are farming content from like artists and other
Yes. Because
so
AI doesn't create its own art. All it does is copy and modify from art that's already been created. It doesn't create its own art.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think like legally finding out who are the artists that this AI is copying, and make sure they get the credit for that.
Yeah, I mean, because if an AI computer is now creating a script, there must have been a program upon which, the computer was given the material to be able to generate that script for that particular project. Therefore, there must have been test or sample scripts that were put into the AI in order to give it the ability to do that. Who wrote those scripts originally that went into that program? Because part of that should be part of the.
But that's all AI scripts do. They just analyze other scripts, and you can't just say, "Hey AI, write me a script." You have to tell the AI.
No, I get that.
You go, AI, write me Friends meets Terminator, and it'll analyze the Terminator script, analyze the Friends script, and then blend the two together. And
so the writers of Friends and Terminator should both benefit from that script, I feel.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's going to be an absolute can of worms, this whole AI thing.
Yeah.
I think they should just shut it all down now. Shut it down. Shut all AI stuff down.
Yeah,
now.
That means they're going to shut down YouTube too.
YouTube's not AI.
Yes.
I mean, technically.
No, it isn't. No.
And this will be the last question.
Takes over everything. We need to.
I say shut it all down. Go back to human beings completely.
Yeah.
Well, we would be very surprised how much we depend on technology at that point.
Oh no, when I'm talking creativity, that is.
Yeah.
AI can do things like run supermarkets and stuff, but leave the creative stuff to humans.
Oh, well, yeah, I just found out, like, did you hear about what they're doing in Walmart, which is a big chain here in the US, that they're going to get rid of all their employees, and it might be exaggerated, and they're going to just have all automated, like checkout.
Self-serving checkouts.
That should be interesting.
Who's going to be the security guard? A Terminator?
Yeah, I hate those things, man. I like to have the chat with the cashier, and
because you're a flirt.
Yeah, but I mean, they're usually like 60-year-old women, so it's not that kind of chat. But
no, it's the personal touch. It's
I do, and someone to help you pack your bags or stuff. I mean, these self-serving things, the shelves are so tiny. I'm doing.
But do you know how many times I have to get help when those machines break down?
Same.
And some poor person has to come over and figure out because the machine doesn't understand what the hell I'm doing. So good luck, Walmart. Good luck with that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting.
Just to work out, and then there's the different flavors of donuts.
Yeah, and the baby that vomits in aisle 10, and what robots are going to do everything. Yeah.
I guess that's the plan. Sean Holmes, I'm gonna make this not the last comment, but definitely the last question. Sean Holmes says, switching from Terminator subject, are you looking forward to MCU's The Marvels, and which Marvel do you think deserves the most attention?
So our time's over. See you later.
Yeah, for me, no, I'm not interested in. I talked about the poster, and they're doing the minimum.
No.
Yeah, they're doing the minimum for even the poster.
As soon as you said Marvel, I had no interest.
No, I'd rather pour chili sauce in my eyes.
Okay, yeah. So we got the answer to that.
The films that we're looking for. We're going to see Mission Impossible on Sunday.
Okay.
We're going to try and see Oppenheimer before Matt goes to Scotland.
Oh, yeah.
And then after that, I think I'm looking forward to seeing Napoleon, and I can't think of anything else.
Oh, wow. So are you going to? Are you going to do a review on your channel for Oppenheimer?
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to be
Please
on
do,
that?
yes. I have no access to it, but I will be watching. I will be watching. um, let's see. Okay, so that's the Rafael Lopez says there's an AI art channel called Banned from Earth. They create
I've seen it.
amazing sci-fi AI art. I highly recommend it. All right, thank you, Rafael.
They've seen it, and I sent the images. That they created a load of June images.
Oh, really?
The characters from the movie. So they did Dr. Kynes. I might even still have them on my phone somewhere. And of course, my friend Sharon Duncan Brewster played that role in June 2. So I texted her and I said, check these out of your character in June 2. And I just said, check these out. She said, who's this supposed to be? So it's your character in June. Yeah, she wasn't impressed.
Yeah.
So, you know, but they kind of looked kind of cool. I mean, I get what he means. There is some, you get this wonderful, it is art in a way, but
you know, I find AI art wholly unimpressive. And you know why? There's no human behind it. The only thing impressive is the programmer who managed to figure out a program that could do that. But the art itself, I find soulless because there wasn't a person behind it to admire their artistry. It's just
no one stood back and looked at it and went, and
managed it. It was just a computer who analyzed everything, and only the technology is amazing, not the results. That's my opinion.
Thanks for that, man. I just saw that come up on the chat. That's great.
Yes, and yeah, you will definitely enjoy.
Yes, and I will be subscribing to you, that channel.
Let me do the same.
And please check out my channel, Two Tone Pictures, and see the trailer for my new film.
Yeah, the cost.
What is the name of your channel again?
My channel is Two Tone Pictures, TWOTONE Pictures, and the trailer for my new feature film, The Cost, has just been released about a month ago. So it's it's a little indie. It's not a big sci-fi.
Okay, let me find this because I would love to.
You can show it now if you want. I think there's no copyright issue with it.
You can show it.
Yeah,
no copyright.
I've shown it on my channel a couple of times.
Well, it's my trailer. So if anyone's
some reason, though, my thing does not do that. But I just wanted your channel so I could put it in the chat.
Do you want me to find it?
I got it.
You got it. Okay.
Yeah. There we go.
Bat channel, I've also subscribed to your channel.
I'll be following you in just a moment. I'll follow the Bat channel. I like what
there we go. Bat channel put it up as well. That's very good. He's put it up in the chat.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I just
beat you to
it. You're so fast. Thank you.
Nielsen like the Nielsen ratings. Yeah, wow. A little bit. Spelt the same. No other connection, as far as I know.
Okay, and just wanted to put something else in the chat too. Give me 1 second, just so that they have it.
Restart Canon. Don't know about that.
Certainly not with their producer's attitude to production. We need less producers in the world like that.
Yeah, we were saying that actually the actors and writers wouldn't need to go on strike if actually
that channel, you're doing all my work for me. Thank you so much, the Bat channel. He put a link for the Outcast Creative in
bless you.
chat for me. That's exactly what I was doing. Thank you. You're like my producer on the show.
Well, he's one of your moderators, so he's
yes, and moderators do get a chance to put links in the chat. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thank you. I appreciate it so much. All right. And so those are the links to my friends here, and I'm definitely. Oh, let me also. I didn't subscribe. I got to subscribe to Two Tone Pictures.
Oh well, yeah, that would be a card.
Just subscribe to Bat channel.
Yes,
there you go.
and John says, okay, I get it. I won't bring up Marvel. Besides, I hear protests are blocking stuff right now. Yeah, anyway, I still prefer a Terminator and Captain Power crossover before others suggest.
Yeah, very
Okay.
similar worlds. Very similar worlds. I liked Captain Power, even though it looks very dated now. But good scripts.
Don't even know what that is.
It was the show. It was the show that Michael Straczynski did before Babylon 5.
Right.
Yeah.
So before Babylon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, okay, so this is it, guys. We finally did reach the end. Thank you so much for joining me today, Lance and Matt. I really appreciate your insight on the Canon films and the movie that you guys just watched. And which one was it again? It was
We watched Invasion USA.
Invasion USA,
And
starring
the
Chuck
stream
Norris.
next Friday, so I know, is that going to focus on a particular segment of their films? What are we looking at? So
Yeah, we're going to be looking at films, and I will let you know which ones we're going to go through. It would be the earlier
early
grouping. So
stuff.
I'm splitting up the movies in half, the earlier ones and the older ones.
Gonna
So
do like sort of like 80 to 85 or something
something,
like that.
yeah,
Yeah,
something
and
to
then
that
maybe
effect.
85 to 90 might be that might be two good segments.
Yeah, and I would say like, when would you say was the heyday of Canon? Like 87 or something like that?
Yeah, 80. Yeah, between 85 to 87.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we actually, I don't know, because Quest for Peace came out, I think 87. So I think 87 was the beginnings of things going wrong.
Okay, well, I'm gonna send you
Yours-
a little a little bit of information about what we're gonna talk about next week,
Sure.
in a DM on Twitter. Okay, so
Yeah,
we'll
no
get
problem.
that situated, and everybody, yes, Lance will be joining us again next week for more on Canon films. And if you guys know of anyone else that is associated with Canon films, do point them in this direction, so that way they can join the conversation. So I do have a little 3-minute video in which you guys can say goodbye to the friends that you made today and any friends that you have in the chat.
Aw.
And also and also any last words that you may have for me. I without further ado, guys, I bid you adieu.
Retro Nerd Girl, you are clear for takeoff.
for a chat.